Tetris.
Hey, YouTube. What's up? Tetris.
Hi.
All right. Well, here we are again. We're going to talk about Han Solo tonight, but it won't be till the end. And I promise you, it's not going to be 3 hours. Well, I guess I shouldn't promise because who knows what'll happen. The plan is not to be 3 hours.
Listen, I will promise it won't be 3 hours.
Okay, fair enough.
Because
I concur.
I love Star Wars, guys, but whew, I was
3 hours, 2 weeks in a row. That's too much.
Yeah.
Too much. So we're going to do the normal video game stuff, and then we'll do some Star Wars stuff at the end. Dave will be joining us later, but he's babysitting right now. I'm totally going to say that too on the audio version.
Let's try not to laugh.
Actually, might make it better. All right, you guys got your Audacity ready to go?
Yippers. Yep.
Did you say yes, Brian, or were you like, oh,
Yep,
yeah, I
I'm
forgot.
ready.
Okay.
No, I got it.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode number 171 of the South Dakota Gamer Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Chad Viss. Joining me, as of the anniversary of the day that he got married to his wife, who wasn't until the day of today, a year ago, Josh Owens.
Happy Memorial Day weekend, everyone. Anniversarial.
So you basically got it figured out till, well, I guess the day will change, but every year, every anniversary for you is going to be like a holiday week.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Just like every year. That's I mean, it's pretty smart.
That's not the primary reason we did it. Honestly, the primary reason we did it was because that way, like, nobody would have to take too much time off work or something to like come out for it because it's already a 3-day weekend. But you know, it does work out on the back end too. So
very smart.
Yeah,
very smart.
It's great.
Also joining us this week yet again, Mr. Brian Seddon.
What's up, fellas? I was not the reason for the 3-hour podcast the last time. So
wow.
There. And I would like to say, not to steal Josh's special day, but it is also my son Micah's 9th birthday today.
Get out, Brian.
And yeah.
It's not allowed to have more than one thing on one day.
He may have planned to come out on a holiday weekend. I can't say for sure, but it definitely happened that way. So,
all right.
Yeah, and I will add, since we're on South Dakota Gamer Podcast, that he did have a Fortnite themed party. So,
that's amazing. Cool. Did you have a cake?
He had a cake. It was like the Dropbox crate.
I need a picture of that. You gotta send me a picture of that.
Yeah, I'll send you one. Cool. And then he had their drinks were like blue drinks, and they're like whatever. I don't play a lot of Fortnite, but they're whatever the drinks.
Yeah, Slurp juice, man.
Yeah, this was Slurp juice, and they had some posters, the llama thing, and stuff like that.
That's
that's
cool.
So cool.
Yeah, we got to see those pictures. That sounds awesome. No kidding. I wish I had a 9-year-old's birthday. Yeah, right? Happy birthday, Micah. Yeah. Happy birthday, Micah. Happy anniversary, Josh. And missing at the moment, Mr. Dave Mann, because happy babysitting time, Dave. He's watching some kids, waiting for their mother to come pick them up. They're playing some Rocket League without him, and he's waiting. So he'll be joining us a little bit later when his babysitting duties are over. But for now, it's going to be the three of us. We are going to jump into the podcast. There is going to be a Han Solo discussion at the end of this. So if you have not seen it, we'll let you know when we start because it will be spoiler filled. We're going to give you our reactions, our thoughts, and things like that. The four of us talking about what we thought about Han Solo, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then that'll wrap it up though for tonight.
Are we talking about Clint Eastwood movies, or are we talking about Solo? Or
Go ahead and make my day, punk. You feel lucky?
Basically the same thing. Lawn. If we're honest.
It's like the whole spectrum.
Clint Eastwood, yeah.
Get off my lawn.
But to get started, we're going to talk about we have our E3 prediction show coming up next week. So a week from tonight, we are going to sit down and go through our predictions for E3 this year. I listened to last year's prediction show, and I tell you what, we're smart. We're smart guys. We know these things. We got some right. We got some wrong. but we have like our thought processes are spot on when it comes to these. So I wrote down the 10 things we had last year, and I'm not going to go through all of them obviously right now, but a couple that I got called out for. One, right at the beginning, because I told everyone don't make really obvious predictions. Make sure they're not something that will and then I come out and say we're going to get a price and a date for the Xbox Scorpio, and Dave just called me on it like the most obvious thing. How could you do this? But it stuck, and Evan gave me a point for it, so that was pretty amazing. Dave thought we'd get a virtual console announcement, and here we are a year later. No such thing still. Let's see here. Josh called a couple things. The Tacoma date, that we'd get a date on that. We did. That Supermassive would be working on some new games, as well as Campo Santo, which I believe he was right on both of those cases. One thing Josh did mess up again, and I'm sure it'll be on your list this year one more time, that the PlayStation would let us change our names.
Dude, it's got to happen. Listen, if I'm consistent about anything, it's that PlayStation account name changes will be announced, and you know what? This year I might change it to Valve will announce a new IP instead of Valve will announce Half-Life 3. I'm still trying to decide. Still trying to decide.
So we had some good ones. We had some ones that weren't very smart. Like I said, BioWare would release a new Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic game. And as I said it even a year ago, it didn't make sense as it came out of my mouth. But yeah, I think some of the things we actually announced last year might be something that'll come out this year. So stay tuned for that. That'll be next week. We will do our E3 predictions. And then the week after that, which will be, E3 happens the following week. So 2 weeks from tonight, E3 begins June 11th and 12th. We will record our podcast that Tuesday instead of Monday night because of the press conferences, Nintendo, and things like that happen on the 12th. So we'll be 1 day later than usual with the audio release and the video release. But that's so that we can get Evan Steele on here to judge our predictions and award us points and see who wins yet again for the 2018 E3 press conference. So
just
please
really
look forward to
that Evan. Just a super outstanding, very just so much integrity. Great guy, that Evan.
Yeah, Josh is a big fan of Evan come June every year. All right, so that's coming up real soon. We're going to jump into what we play. We're going to skip out on the new releases this week. One, because Dave is here, and two, there really isn't anything that spectacular coming out this week, so we'll just save a little bit of time on that and start with what we play. And so, Josh, I know you've been playing. It seems like every time I look, you're playing Ark every time.
It's so good.
You're in, huh?
Good. I'm hooked. Okay, so I've had this game for quite a while now, and the first time I jumped in on my own, and I just was continuously getting murdered. Didn't really understand how like the whole server thing worked, or like how to respawn in the same area, so I could like start to put down some kind of roots or whatever. So this time around, I jumped in with the Steel Brothers, and they sort of showed me the ropes, made me part of their tribe right away so that I could use like some of their stuff and spawn at their beds, which is like how you come back to the area in which you were kind of hanging out. So yeah, man, I'm hooked now. So I'm gonna sound really, really nerdy here for a little bit. Just a warning. Because I was trying to explain this to my wife the other day, and as the words were coming out of my mouth, I realized her respect for me was just dropping dramatically. But it's very like, I haven't asked if you can do something in the game that the answer has been no. You can do just about anything you can think of, as long as you like build up to that point. So it's very RPG-esque in that you level up, and then every time you level up, you get a certain amount of points that you can spend on what they call engrams, which is basically skills, and it's like different things you can craft. So you have to learn how to craft things, and you also have to be at the level at which like that skill is unlocked or that thing is unlocked to craft. So you get awarded experience points for literally everything you do. Just walking gives you some, experience points. And then really like the idea is the more you craft, the more experience points you get. So the best way to level up is to make things and be like progressing. But it's your standard survival game, and that like you start out with nothing. You're basically naked. You have to gather materials. You start off by punching trees, like we were talking about a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
And you get thatch and wood from trees. You can pick up rocks off the ground. And so from thatch, wood, and rocks and fiber, which you can get from like plants or ferns, you can start to make like really, really primitive tools. And then you can use those to gather more resources. And so the more you're doing this, the more you're leveling up. You're learning how to make more advanced things. And then you can make better tools to gather resources more effectively, or different resources. So it's a lot of fun in that there's a lot of things you can do, but there's a lot of grinding in the game because you have to gather all that stuff up. So it was super helpful when I jumped in this time, because they invited me to their tribe, which means like they're sort of already set up. They have like a little bit of a base going on, and they've got a little bit of a system. So like it made it to where I could like walk in their houses and like, grab tools if I needed them, which is super helpful right at the beginning. And then they were just like sort of walking me through like, what are the best places to put some of your, so part of that leveling up too is you get to upgrade like your core stats, which is like weight, health, stamina, all that kind of stuff. So, they're telling me like, what's the best place to put all that stuff? And then, what are the best things to learn right at the beginning so you can like keep progressing. And then, so what they did was, because they have that area kind of set up, it's a little bit protected from, a lot of the wild animals. It's out of the way of like everybody else that's on the server. So most people don't come over there. So it's pretty quiet. It's kind of a safe zone to like start out and sort of level up. So they were like, you know what, like if you need any help, if you need anything, let us know, do your own thing for a while and like just level up and get to a place where you're like comfortable playing the game. And then we can move on to like some other stuff. So that's what I had been doing for a few days. So I started at level 1, obviously, because that's where you start. And I'm up to like 54 now.
Wow.
Which I didn't realize I had like gotten that far. But it's because like every time I turn on my PS4, I'm like, I can play Fortnite, which I've really, really been enjoying lately. I can play Far Cry 5, which I still haven't finished. And I love that game, so I need to get back to it. The Witness had like sucked me back in for a while, so I was like considering playing that. And every time I'm just like, man, this is like, I haven't had a game like this for a while, except for The Witness actually, but like where when I'm not playing it, I'm like thinking about it. And I'm like, man, okay, so the next time I get in, I could like tame this dinosaur and then like ride it around and like, gather resources, like do all this stuff. So I'm like planning my next session, like in between sessions, which may be dangerous. That may point to some obsessive issues, but it's really, really good. And Chad, if you want to jump back in, man, I'm in a position. I'm high enough now to where I can maybe help you out a little bit. We actually just got invited to join a much bigger tribe. So we have access to a lot more stuff now.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
I'll think about it.
If you want to try it out again,
about it. Yeah.
It's really, really good though. I'm having a good time.
Cool.
And then I did play a little bit of Fortnite this week. My buddy Evan from work and I have been jumping on and playing some duos here and there. We can't seem to we have some really good runs where we'll get up to like 4th or 5th place, and then it seems like every time we haven't gotten a win yet, but every time we lose, everything falls apart like very quickly. Like we'll be doing great. Like we'll both have a few kills here and there. We'll have like tons of resources, great guns. We're doing great. The run's going well. And then, we'll get up to like the last few groups of people and we're kind of trying to feel it out and see what happens. And somebody will just come up behind us that we didn't even see, or we'll get caught in the crossfire between 2 different teams or something. It all just like goes to pot very, very quickly. So we keep saying,
frustrating.
Get it. We're going to get it one of these days, but we haven't gotten it yet.
Yeah.
But still fun. That new like the FAMAS, the 3-burst rifle they put in there. It's real good.
So my son is telling me
it's real good. I'm not
get a jetpack.
I have gotten a jetpack a couple times. Those are pretty cool too.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm a little bit sad that that's going to be a limited time item, from what I understand. But because I think it doesn't unbalance the game. It does, it spawns randomly like all the other weapons and stuff like that. And it's not that big of an advantage.
Yeah.
And there is limited fuel in it, so
right.
It's not like it's a crazy unbalance, but it's a lot of fun to play with. It's pretty cool.
Cool.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun. So the new stuff they've been adding is real good. And I did play a little bit of the Witness this week too. I've got I think 5 lasers activated now.
That's pretty good.
So moving along. I just finished the area with all the colors in that greenhouse, underneath the mountain. And trying to figure out the elevator. That game, man, just like Ark keeps surprising me, but the Witness continually surprises me with I'm like, I wonder if, and then that turns out to be what's actually happening in this situation. So
that's
the elevator, for example, in this greenhouse, all the puzzles in this area are based on colors. And then on top of the colors, you have to learn what those mean. But then on top of that, you have to figure out that in different lighting, the colors are going to show up different because of
interesting.
If it's a blue light, the colors will look a certain way. If it's a red light, the colors will look a certain way. And so that changes the solution to the puzzle. It could be the same puzzle in 5 different lights, but the solution will be different in each light.
Wow.
Based on how the light's hitting the puzzle and what the colors look like. So that's what this elevator puzzle is. You start off at the bottom level and you have to solve it, and then you move up to the second level, and then the colors look different. So then you have to resolve it according to that solution, and that takes you up to the next level. Well, there's a broken wire on the elevator, so you can't go past, you can't get up to the next level because the wire's broken. So what you have to do then, because you've already been dealing with how different lighting and color filters affect the colors and how you solve, so you're already familiar with this concept. So you have to look up and see what the lighting is on the floor above you, and you just apply that without seeing it hit the puzzle. You have to apply that to the puzzle and figure out what the puzzle would look like if that light was hitting the puzzle, and solve it to move past that floor to get up to the floor above it.
Brainards.
Yeah. So there's been puzzles like that where it's not just learning the rules about this symbol means this, and in this area the puzzles go like this. It's also learning what they're wanting you to do. At one point I had to stand at a certain angle so that 2 different colored panes of glass were filtering between me and the puzzle I was trying to solve, so that I could figure out the answer, so that I could go in. And without seeing the filter, you have to write it down or take a picture or something. I have so many pictures of puzzles on my phone right now.
Yeah.
And then you have to go fix it or solve it. So what they're doing is there's so much meta game in this game. They're taking it 3 or 4 levels back.
Yeah.
To where you have to take all these other factors into account and pile everything on top of each other. And then you get to some areas where there's 4 or 5 different rule sets at play at the same time.
Gosh,
it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's rewarding though when you figure it out.
That's that's why I'm still playing, because there's times Cecilia was relieved when I started playing The Witness and not Fortnite, for instance, because I keep losing at Fortnite. And I'm like, come on, I can't believe it. I'm yelling at the TV. And she's like, oh, finally you're playing a more peaceful game. And then I'm trying to solve these puzzles, and I'm like, what the F? I can't believe it. So I start
breaking pencils.
So she's like, oh, so it's just every game now. And Fortnite.
That's right.
But yeah, it is really rewarding to solve it. So
that's cool.
I think I don't know how many lasers there are, but I have to be getting close.
I know. Yeah. I don't know if I knew it known.
There's still a couple areas where I've been, I can access them right now, but for the life of me, I have no idea what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
There's one area that looks like a temple, and it's all octagonal, if that's the right word, shaped puzzles. And I have no idea.
Yeah, you've not seen anything like that.
Yeah, there's no symbols, and there's all the lines, there's no block, it's not blocked anywhere. So I just don't know what's going on, and I can't.
Right. It's crazy how they teach you that stuff too to lead you up to those points. So
I've been hoping I'd run across something else that would teach me, but yeah. So yeah, that's cool. What I've been doing this week. Mostly Arc. Right.
Mostly Arc. Yeah. Boil it down to Arc.
Yeah.
All right, Brian. I know you typically aren't on and do the video game things too much, but you do get a chance to play some games, right?
Yeah. So I mean, realistically, the only game I'm really playing consistently is PUBG. Probably twice a week, maybe 3 times a week. We got usually a squad we play with, and we only play, some nights maybe an hour, some nights maybe 2 hours. But it's definitely a lot of, well, given how quick we die, it's a lot of games that we can put in. So the new map's been released, and that's out, Miramar.
Yep.
So, and obviously you don't know which map you're going to get each game. So we're still learning Miramar. When we do the regular map, we go to Georgia Pool all the time, which seems like everybody goes there lately. It looks like D-Day whenever we're going to land. So I mean, that's what we've been playing. As far as me and my group, I tried the last game I played on my own all the way was Injustice 2. That was probably a few months back. And I really enjoyed that because I like the story. And I played online a little bit. I definitely had to download. You can download the Ninja Turtles. So I downloaded them.
That's cool.
I tried City Skyline because I was a big SimCity fan back in the day. And so I tried that. Didn't really like it because it still seems like it's built for the computer, like the way you have to, it's like point and click kind of thing. And so I couldn't really get into that. The controls weren't user friendly on the Xbox, but
sure.
Yeah, I'd say really it's PUBG. And we get a chicken dinner usually at least once a week as a squad.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, when I say we though, I'm usually dead, but I still get credit for the win.
Still get credit. That's right. You're in the squad.
I provide a healthy distraction for my team. That's what I usually
Look over here.
Yeah.
Look at me.
So
get this way.
Yeah. But no, PUBG is great. Isaac said something about the other day about, when the last podcast, it'd be great if they finished the game, but it is kind of crazy though. I mean, I only paid $29 for the game and I play it, for hours every week. And so I've definitely got my money's worth, even if it's not finished yet.
Sure.
Which there is something, the lagging gets a little annoying at times, the lack of rendering and, some of the other things that happen, but I mean, you definitely for $29, I definitely got my money's worth. But since I don't play a lot of other games besides PUBG, I did have 2 things that I was going to bring to you that aren't necessarily video game, but it is kind of pop culture, and I think most of your audience would probably find this useful if they decided to do this, because I think they probably collect things like Chad. I see the back. On your shelf there, you got some pop figures and some other collectibles, and same with Josh. So one is I stumbled upon this last year, and they just released season 2. This is on Netflix. You guys have Netflix, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So season 2 of this show came out on May 25th. So the show is The Toys That Made Us. I don't know if you guys have caught that.
Heard of this?
So season 1. And they go through a history of a certain toy. So season 1 had they did Star Wars, they did Barbie, if that's your thing. They did He-Man, which Chad knows.
Oh,
I'm a big He-Man.
Big He-Man crushed guy.
Yeah, it's weird, but I love my He-Man. And they're gonna make a movie. They keep saying it. I really believe them this time. A good movie.
Okay. They did.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
And then they did G.I. Joe. So that was season 1. Season 2 just came out, and so you can still see season 1, obviously. But season 2, they did Star Trek, Transformers, Lego, and Hello Kitty, if that's your thing. So I saw the Transformers one and part of the Star Trek, and I saw all the season 1. But I'll tell you guys, it's pretty cool, especially later we're going to talk about Star Wars, to see the history of the Star Wars toys and things like that. It's a really cool show to watch. I would recommend that to you guys and to anybody else. The other thing that I watched, and I just watched this last night, it's called Making Fun. It's the story of Funko, the Pops. And that was a really cool documentary. I like documentaries, especially ones that are interesting like that. So it gives the history of how it started. It started in '98 with, you know, the one guy, I can't remember his name, but he started it and then he sold it like in 2003 or 2005, I think. But it kind of gives the history of like, I mean, dude, he started like in his basement, you know, or not his basement, his garage. He started in his garage.
Wow.
You know, just
is that on Netflix too, or?
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Okay.
Just because he and this other guy liked like 50s things, and they like they said, let's kind of do something. They stumbled upon bobbleheads. Let's start bobbleheads. And they were called Wobbly Whackers at first. Wobbly.
I'm glad they changed the name.
Yeah. I don't think it was Whackers. Because that sounds really bad when I say that. But it was Wobbly something.
Wobbly Whackers. Different
but anyway,
store for those.
So they started it, you know, and the first one they did was the Big Boy restaurant one.
Okay, yeah.
Buy it, they, you know, and then it just blew up from there. But the pop figures that you know, that came after the guy that started it, sold the company to another really good friend. So here's the deal: is everybody that's kind of come on board with his company has like started. You know, they're collectors. They like were into this thing. They started collecting, and that's how he found these people. And he gave them all jobs, which is like crazy. There's a guy in Dyer, Indiana. You know, obviously I'm in Crown Point. I think his name was Mike Goldberg or Goldsmith. He's like a huge fan, and he wrote the owner a letter one day. Then all of a sudden now he's like, he goes to all the Comic Cons, works all the booths for him. They just opened a Funko store in Washington somewhere, and he was the first person they let into the store. It's just like really cool stuff like that. But anyway, so, and I say all that too to say this: I bought Chad, you gave me my first pop figure, Obi-Wan.
Yes,
it's worth $19 today. Thank you very much. And then I bought my very first one on my own just the other day. It's Lando from the new Solo movie. It's a Target exclusive, but he was the only one left. So otherwise, I probably would have got some others as well. But he looks pretty cool. If you check out the YouTube portion of this, you'll see that. But anyway, those are two things that I thought, if you guys have time and you're wondering, you know, what can you watch on Netflix, those are two things that I recommend, because not only are they just entertaining, you know, like the Funko one, but like the toys that made us. I mean, if you grew up with those toys, man, it brings you back, and it makes you want to go find all the toys that you like either buried in your yard or gave at a garage sale or whatever. Mine are still, I guarantee I got some Ghostbusters buried in the yard at my old house. I know for a fact, and I know right where they're at. If I get back there, I'm going to dig
knocking on that door.
I'm not knocking on the door.
Your backyard.
Walk in there with a
shovel in your hand.
Yeah, middle of the night, just in the backyard.
A flashlight on your head.
Oh man.
So anyway, that's what I got.
I have literally like in trying to find something to watch on Netflix. I have both of those things saved to my queue right now.
They're worth it.
I've scrolled past both of those and like paused for a second and been like, should I jump into this? Because they both seem really interesting to me.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna have to like jump in and
I highly recommended. So
that's awesome. Nice. So are you a Pop Funko like collector now? Are you gonna hunt them down? Are you gonna get all the Star Wars ones? What are you doing?
No, I don't know if I'm gonna go crazy. I think it'll be kind of like impulse buys. I think for me, if I just see one, I think that's really cool, I'm gonna get it because it could add up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
what it is for me right now.
Yeah, there's this app you can get. It's called Stashpedia, STASHPEDIA, and it's a Funko Pop collecting website app. And you can look up any pop. It'll give you the current like trending value of it, and you can even save your own collection, and it'll give you the value of the current time of what your collection is. And you can.
I think you just turned. I think you just turned my casual pop collection into something much closer to an obsession.
Oh yeah, it's
downloading this app.
Yeah, they list them all. They have the pictures of them. You can find the exact ones you have, and you can see right there. You can't really see because it's blurry. But my current value, I have 49 pops, and it's currently valued at $741.
Wow,
that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Well done,
so I have a lot of Star Wars ones. My most valuable one is my Halo Master Chief one, worth $91.
Wow.
And I bought that years ago. I don't even remember after. I'm sure it was after 3. Oh yeah, it was the Halo 4 one. But yeah, so yeah, if I have a little bit of that. I know some guys that have a lot of that collecting thing with those things specifically, and they're the ones that actually showed me that app. But it's a free app, Stashpedia. You can put in your collection and track values, and like if you find something at Walmart or Target like that,
check it out.
You can check it and see. Like a lot of times, Walmart sells them for like $8 or $9, and you can see ones that are worth, this one's worth 20, so maybe that's worth buying, or this one's only worth 5, so maybe it's not.
Well, I knew the big thing too is I think they just licensed the Major League Baseball, so I know guys. I've heard of guys now they're trying to get all the Aaron Judge and all the ball players. So I think they're skyrocket.
At some point, they're handing out. Every ballpark is giving the first 20,000 fans one free. And there's a friend of mine that is wanting to get all of them. So he's trying to find friends of his that live near, buy their baseball ticket to the game just to get the pop. Like that's how dedicated he is. So anyway, so that's out there. That's good, Brian. Thanks. I'm definitely going to check those out. And I also have the title for the episode. If it weren't a Han Solo thing that we'd want to put out there, Wobbly Whackers. It's definitely a great title. Wobbly Whackers.
I'm pretty sure I haven't
and Brian's face, I'm going to screen cap Brian's face here laughing with his White Sox hat on. Wobbly Whackers. There we go. Yep. All right. Well, thanks, Brian. That's awesome.
You got it, buddy.
Quickly go through what I've been playing some PUBG as well. I played a match here or two here or there. It seems like I always try to jump in like when I don't have a lot of time and I think I'm going to get through it, and I always do really well when I don't have time. I think I told the story a couple weeks ago how I was just doing fantastic and I literally had no time, so I jumped off a mountain and killed myself. I was playing this afternoon. We were going to head over to my parents for Memorial Day. And I was like, I got like 20 minutes. I'll play. I'd probably die right away. And, of course, I did really well. And I was playing very recklessly because I was figuring I was going to die or needed to die. And so I was the blue zone had caught up with me, and I was running, and it was just about to catch up to me. And then someone started shooting at me from behind. And I'm just running. And so I turn around, and sure enough, there's a guy down there shooting at me. So I shot at him a couple times, and I was on Miramar. So I hid behind a mountain. I'm like, that blue zone's coming. He's going to have to come. And he had a motorcycle. So I hear the motorcycle coming, and then it stops. I'm like, all right, I got to go. So usually I would just keep going, let him stay to the zone and die. Like, no, I'm going to kill this sucker. So I turned around. I had a vector. Turned around, went at him, and he came up over shot me a couple times and hit me good. I'm like, I'm dead. So I just sprayed my vector and killed him. I'm like, yeah, that's what you get. And I went down, got his motorcycle, and by this time the blue zone caught me, but the motorcycles are fast, so I was able to drive out of that. I mean, in Myanmar with a motorcycle is dangerous because there are a lot of mountains, there are a lot of hills, and I'm flying all over the place trying to get to the new zone. Got to the new zone, jumped off the motorcycle, healed myself up. At this time, it's like, we've got to leave. Again, every time I got to go somewhere, I do well. And so I just recklessly just drove my motorcycle as fast as I could. I was just flying, jumping off jumps, doing spins, doing backflips. And I just kept landing everything, not getting hurt. Everything was going great. And so I'm like, I've got to. So I went off this really high mountain, did a jump, and I jumped off the bike midair, thinking I'll land and I'll die. So I landed, the motorcycle exploded, and I didn't die. It got me down to like just a sliver of health. I'm like, come on, I can't even kill myself. So I threw a frag at my feet and killed myself. Got like 17th place when I'm like just trying to play super reckless, a way I would never play if I wanted to win.
Right.
So that might be the key, to just go in trying to just be reckless and see if that actually works. Yeah, when you have time. So
do you find on Miramar like people are just camping up in those mountains for you to drive by? I feel like it's like I
haven't played enough to really know that yet, but
I feel like every time we die, like that's it. We're like driving and as people are up on hills, just start picking us off.
To take.
Yeah. Well, the other night we were in a pickup truck and the two guys were in the back. I'm in the front with the other guy, and I was like, I don't think the back is like the best place to be like in this map. And then right when I said that, I see the one guy, he just like disappears out of the back of the truck and he's in the red. He's like, I got shot. He's like, come pick me up. And of course we stopped to get him and get wrecked.
Oh,
we
try
to get each other, but we die in the process.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, the pickup's wide open back, not safe. Makes sense. So I've been playing that, just a few matches. I did try the H1Z1 open beta, which is on the PlayStation 4 for free. Another Battle Royale game. And it's okay. Like it's not as realistic looking as PUBG. It's not nearly as cartoony as Fortnite. It's somewhat got realistic guns. The character model looks more realistic. You even have motorcycle helmets and backpacks and stuff. But like the items on the ground in the buildings are outlined in white, so they look a little more cartoony than like a gun, that you find in PUBG. I played like 3 or 4 matches of it just so I could say I tried it and be able to talk about it a little bit here tonight. It's okay. I don't know. I like PUBG a lot. Like I really, really like PUBG a lot. I like Fortnite enough, and I kept comparing it to PUBG, and even like you were saying, Brian, it has that jank, right? It has the lag, it has the rendering things, but the gunplay is good, I think, and the sounds are good, and this just felt a little off to me. Not in a bad way per se, not like it didn't feel good. Maybe what I was hoping it would feel like, and so I didn't really enjoy it a ton. I'll play a few more matches just to see if it, just like PUBG, the first time you played it, you're like completely lost. So maybe I'll get used to it and it'll be more enjoyable. But I did try that out. It's okay. Playing a little bit more of God of War, trying to clean up the trophies on that. Man, what a game. Brian, you need a PS4 just for that game. I'm just telling you.
I'm this close. to getting on. I just can't pull the trigger in my mind yet. But
man. And you might want to wait till E3. Maybe they'll drop the price of some PS4s for that week. But just to be able to throw that axe and call it back whenever, I tested to see how far away you could get. Like throwing your axe and like going to a completely different area of the map just to see how far I could go. Because you get in this canoe, you're basically in this hub area. And there's a lot of shore areas you can get out to, and there's things to do. And then you can get in this canoe and literally row all the way across the map. And so I did. I'm like, I'm going to throw my axe. I lodged it in a wall. And I'm like, I'm going to see how far I can go. I thought maybe as soon as I got in the canoe, he would just automatically recall it because I'm going to a different area. Nope, he didn't. Sailed I went far, far away, and it still never came back to me. So it seems, and I don't know, I didn't go to a different realm. So maybe if I went to a different realm, it would come back. But eventually I'm like, okay, this is really long. So I hit the triangle button, and then he sticks his hand out like Thor does in the Marvel movies. And he just stands there for a minute, and you hear tink, 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 and it whoop, comes right back to your hand. But it took a while. Like like the game's like, yeah, we know you left this really, really far away, so we're gonna make it seem like it's really, really far away.
That's awesome.
Just that little thing where they could have had it just immediately show up, but the fact that it was so far away and that little detail, I'm like, man, this game is just so good. So good. Definitely my game of the year so far this year.
Very cool.
And second to lastly, I played 1-2 Switch. On the Switch, we had at our church, I kind of run the youth department on Wednesday nights, and we had the new kids come in, the new 7th graders after being, graduating from school from 6th grade. Now the 7th graders are moving in, and so we had a little pizza party, and we played 1-2 Switch on the TV in there. And that game still costs $50.
Yeah.
And man, is that game a ripoff for $50.
I didn't know where you're going with that.
It is a straight up robbery. Now, I traded in some games and had a gift card. It cost me $6 out of my pocket of money, but I mean, I used games for currency and I had a gift card. It's got some really cool things. The quick draw thing, which we all have seen, it's got a sword fighting thing, which you try to stop. Someone holds the Joy-Con and they try to on you, and you use the other Joy-Con and clap to try to stop it. There's some cool mini games in there, but unless you're in a situation like that where you have a bunch of people around, I mean, I had 20, 25, teenagers playing and eating pizza and having a good time. It works perfect for that situation. But even in that situation, you do it too many times, you run out of things to play. It's just the same things over and over again. Yeah. But if you didn't, and not many of us are in that type of situation often, maybe once in a while, but not on a regular basis. Oh man, that thing for $50, don't do it. I had the GameStop, and I kind of know, he's the manager. He's kind of like, I don't know if you really should. I'm like, no, I'm fully aware of what I'm getting myself into. I know this is definitely not worth the money, but I need it for a specific situation. He's like he really felt bad that I was buying that game.
Well, it's kind of like the original Wii, like when you like that game that came out with it, all the sports stuff,
Wii Sports and all that.
Yeah, it's cool at first, and it's cool with a group, but like you're not gonna just dial it up and start, playing.
Yeah, well, even with that, you could work on your bowling game at least. This you need two people. You can't do anything alone. Yeah. Everything needs two people, and it has cool things, but there's nothing there substantial to keep you going any amount of time past that. So don't buy that game, and then maybe rent it or borrow it, and then buy it, return it.
It's bad
when method.
It's bad when the GameStop employee is like, I don't. Are you sure?
Yeah. Yeah, he probably wouldn't have done that if it weren't me, but he was. I could tell he felt bad that I was spending money on this game.
Oh no!
And then lastly, real quick, because I didn't play but like 2 hours of it, I played a little bit of Detroit Become Human, and that game looks fantastic. What a beautiful looking game. The facial animations and the character models look awesome. And this is the David Cage game, where it's basically androids. It's near future Detroit 2038, and androids have taken over the jobs in the world that are difficult and that are dangerous. People own androids to basically clean their house, and they're fully interactive. You could talk to them. They have, they're great, way better than the androids we see today in the real world. But this is 20 years in the future, and there's a lot of contention there with them taking jobs, and they're really trying to play up almost a civil rights type movement. Like when they get on the bus, they even have to get in the back of the bus in the android section and stand there while the humans sit in the front. So there's like racism. Androids, people hate them, but they use them, and we become dependent on them as humans. And you play a street, right? Yeah. Basically, that's basically exactly what it is. But those guys, they're treated a little better in Star Wars than they are in this game. So, but you play as 3 specific characters. You play as one that's a detective, works for the police force, and he basically goes after other androids they call them deviant when they go off their plan or their programming. You play as him. He's Connor. You play as Marcus, which he's the one that he starts to feel emotion. He starts to become quote unquote human, and he starts a revolution. And you play as a girl called Kara, who basically is owned by this single dad that's very abusive towards his 10, 12-year-old daughter, somewhere in there. And her struggles with protecting this girl or, going against her programming and things like that. So I'm very early in the game, and I'm not sure about the message it's sending, if I'm okay with it or if it's good or if it's too ended or if it's corny. But I will say it looks amazing. It's a fantastic looking game. And if you like the quote-unquote walking simulators, this will probably be a really good one. I think he's trying to tell a story that's meaningful and trying to comment on today's maybe social issues and things of that nature a little bit. I'm not sure how well he does at it, and we'll see how that goes. But that's Detroit Become Human. And that's all I've played this week. So, let's move right into then here the news that you can use
if you so choose
to do so. I was going to give Brian a second to see if you
just
jump in there.
I apologize.
No,
I don't feel qualified. I don't feel qualified to do that.
I didn't prep you on that. I didn't give you any of that. So that is.
I feel like it's my place. I've not earned that.
No, it's okay. Though you're a guest, so you don't have to. There's no responsibilities on you, other than this segment brought to us by Papa Andy. And there's word of the week: spaghettification. Brian, what does spaghettification mean?
So that's when you take your spaghetti and you mix it with cheese, and then you edify it. You tell it how good it is, and you tell it you just want to eat it, and you're really happy that it's on your plate today. And so spaghettification.
Nailed it. Perfect. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Spaghettification. Edify your spaghetti. Man, you're just coming up with great titles to this episode. Right. I can't use them all. Can't use them all. So just to move along. Wow, words. They're hard.
Wait, I know this one. I know this one.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
No, I actually do know this one.
Okay, good.
Only because of a recent podcast that I listened to.
Oh, really? All right.
I don't know exactly how to describe it, but I know it has something to do with gravitational pull. Like when two gravitational forces are affecting a thing, and I think that like stretches it out or something.
Like spaghetti.
Am I close?
Spaghetti, yeah. You're very close. Here's the definition or the quick summary on Wikipedia. In astrophysics, spaghettification, sometimes referred to as the noodle effect, is the vertical stretching and horizontal compressing of objects into long, thin shapes in a very long, non-homogeneous gravitational field. It is caused by extreme tidal forces.
Aha.
So the gravity and tidal, it stretches and compresses. What did it say of objects? That's what it says. Objects.
Oh,
so
astrophysics.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I probably didn't say. I'm not very good with my enunciation. Right. Yeah. My bad. So Andy, Papa Andy, Patreon supporter, getting us into astrophysics on this podcast. We're basically the Big Bang Theory right now. So you're welcome. Only real. That's fake. That's just a TV show. This is real life.
Who does that make? Who does that make? Everybody.
I mean, do we have to assign roles? That's where you want to go. Who's Sheldon and who's Raj? I mean,
as long as I don't want to be Sheldon.
Listeners.
That's all.
Listeners, I need to know who of the four of us. So Brian's in this. So Dave, Brian, Josh, and Chad. Of the four of us, who is who from the Big Bang Theory? We need Sheldon. We need Raj. We need Leonard. And then we need what's the guy that has the kid now? I can't remember his name. He wears the real tight jeans. Howard.
Yes.
So of the four of them, assign that to the four of us. Project for you.
Oh man,
I'm excited. Facebook South Dakota Gamer, and let us know who is who. And we'll talk about that next.
I wore skinny pants one time in my life, and then, they were slim, and when I wore them to work, and I got made fun of, and I never wore them again.
Oh no.
Well, maybe we found our Howard, guys. We found our Howard.
That's sad.
Oh, all right.
Brian, you do you, man. You wear whatever you want.
Well, my wife bought them. I didn't even want them was the thing. She made me wear them, and I got ridiculed for it.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah, well,
oh, man.
I yelled at her.
She likes them.
That makes it worse if you're getting made fun of for wearing skinny jeans, and the reason is that your wife bought them. Yeah. You can't exactly say that when you're getting made fun of either.
My wife made me wear these.
See, Josh, after you've been married longer than a year, you let it go, I guess.
That's fantastic.
Just do it. So, all right. Well, let's move into the news here as we approach getting closer to our Han Solo talk. Hopefully, Dave makes it. Whew. All right, first off, Battlefield 5 was revealed this past week. They did a trailer. What's his name with the Daily Show, interviewed the developers. It's not Jon Stewart because he doesn't do that anymore. It's Trevor something.
Trevor Noah, yeah.
That's it, him. So I didn't get to watch the live stream, but I did get to watch the trailer. Did either of you get to see or check out the trailer for Battlefield 5?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
The trailer. Yeah.
It looks great. It looks fantastic. They're adding some things. They're doing some things with the health. They're doing some things with the squads. They really want to focus on the squad play, which Battlefield is always known for that with the squads. But they're really focusing on that even more so now, to the point where you can't even go into multiplayer solo. You can't go in playing by yourself. You have to be on a squad. They always pushed you towards that, even in Battlefield 1. They pushed you towards the squad, but you could go in with a squad closed and just be on your own and play, lone wolf. Now you have to be part of it. In your squad, you can heal everyone, regardless of what class you are. You can always res anyone in your squad. But if you're a medic class, you can res them quicker and they come back with more health, things like that. It looks fantastic. It's set in World War II. It is coming out, I believe, October 19th is the day that it is going to be released. 1 week before, or 1 week after Call of Duty, and 1 week before Red Dead Redemption 2. So October is going to be a real busy month. A lot of competing games for your dollar. And I won't go through all the specifics on what the game is, other than the internet is being the internet again, and people are real mad because they put a girl on the cover with a robot arm. And so there are people talking about how this is not historically accurate because, one, there's a woman, and two, there's robot arms. And as the internet seems to do, take it a little further than it probably needs to be taken. And obviously, a lot of women fought in World War II. Thousands and thousands of them died. They weren't all just at home, working in the factories when all the men left. A lot of them, especially from other countries specifically, fought on the battlefield just like they're depicting in this game. However, internet needs to be made aware that video games aren't real.
Well, Chad, let me tell you, if there's anything I look for from my video games, it's 100% zero messing around, reality and accuracy. Yes. And I don't want no video game that's not grounded in reality and isn't 100% real.
Right, because when you going outside, you want to draw a line from the sun to the ground in a straight line to open a door. That's what happens.
Exactly. Exactly, Chad. That's my experience.
So I know you're not wrong, and I get it. So that people are upset about that. No one here on this podcast, Brian, you're not mad about it, right?
No, I'm cool. I'm down.
Okay,
I'm down for the
because I know you don't like your girls and your Star Wars, so I thought maybe that was.
I never said that. I never said it like that. I was just making an observation. Was all.
Yeah, Brian. Yeah, I won't go there.
So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, Star Wars Rant podcast listeners will know Brian does not like Star Wars.
That's not what I was saying. Never said it.
That's what I meant.
That's how it was interpreted.
Is Brian a Carrie Fisher hater? Is that what's happening here?
No.
Oh no, he likes her.
Very strong female character. Enjoy her very much.
Not so much Padme. Is that what you're saying?
We just like to give Brian a hard time.
Padme very much as well.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I think I'm out. I can't think of any other ones.
Yeah, and he's done. Battlefield 5. I enjoyed Battlefield 1 a lot. I like the gameplay. I like the style of the way that it plays. A little more slow than Call of Duty, more tactical, and I'm looking forward to Battlefield 5. I plan to play that game. Next, today we got an announcement for the cover athlete of Madden 19, and Josh, being the sports ball guy fan he is, he's going to tell us all about the cover athlete.
Well, Chad,
it's in the outline. Go ahead and just tell our audience.
I think I was as surprised as anybody with this reveal, but I support it 100%. I'm a big fan of this guy.
Yeah.
T.O. Good old T.O. Which from the what team was it? What team was that he was on? I can only assume is Terrell Owens.
They nailed it.
Boom! Yes. I can't tell you what team he played on though. So wait, the 49ers, I want to say at one point, maybe?
Yeah, he did. The Dallas Cowboys,
the
Eagles as well.
All right.
So I just given Josh a hard time there, but he nailed it. The sports ball fan guy that he is, I thought maybe we'd trip him up, but no, he is indeed the sports ball fan we all knew he was. He is. So T.O. Terrell Owens on the cover of Madden 19 this year. Oh, Madden again.
I
don't know.
Did they do this last year, or is this the one that's got the attaching a story mode to it? That was last year.
It did last year. Yep, they did last year. I don't know that they've
again.
I would assume it was pretty popular. I did not play that last year.
Is that right? It was popular.
Yeah. People liked it. People really liked it a lot.
Dumb thing to put in a sports game.
So they're doing this because it's a Hall of Fame thing, and that's why he's on it.
I believe so. Yeah.
Because I saw too, they said Dan Marino is going to be in the game. Like why T.O.? Like, dude, you could do like Joe Montana. You could do Dan Marino. You could do so many other people. All I can remember of T.O.
Iconic.
I mean, like what sticks in my mind is him doing sit-ups in his driveway.
When he didn't have
Eagles, and it's just like when he just went nuts.
Yeah, that's what. Remember the popcorn thing, the Sharpie in the sock.
Yeah. Well, I was okay with like the celebration stuff on the field. Like that was entertainment, and I'm okay with that. But just like the off the field stuff was just ridiculous. Yeah. And his agent, I can't remember his name, but that guy.
Yeah. T.O. he was a spectacle. People watched, like to see what he did, and a character, a personality. So I get it. You know, I forget. I don't even remember who was on the cover last year, but you know, Madden.
It was Brady. Wasn't Brady on it?
You're right. Yep.
Yeah.
It was the GOAT, the Brady. Yeah. Okay. So you know, well, that's what they called it, the GOAT edition, and had Brady on it. But sorry, man.
I hate the Patriots.
Not
okay then.
Hey, you know what, Brian? You and me both, man.
Yeah,
we're on the same page.
Women
so
and Patriots. No,
it's hard to innovate year after year in a Madden game, and I haven't played one, you know, a lot in quite a few years. But back in the day, man, early 2000s, late 90s, I played numerous seasons on those games and enjoyed them. So, yeah, they're good. They look great. We're getting closer and closer to realism as far as the way it looks and the far the way it plays. So if you like that Madden, that's coming out real soon. Next, a big thing that I think my son would really enjoy, Overwatch. A game, right? Going on strong. Blizzard doing real well. Lego has announced that they're going to be making Overwatch Lego sets. Here starting this summer, they haven't announced which characters or what they're going to be, but they did announce a partnership with Blizzard, and they're going to be making some Overwatch sets here this summer, which I thought was kind of neat.
That's kind of
neat. Yeah,
probably tying into some of the story stuff, like
probably
from Overwatch.
I wonder. Cool. It's hard to do characters, right? Like you see those, sometimes you get those Lego characters like Star Wars characters, and they're all blocky and stuff, and that's fine. It's always the vehicles, right, that always look the best. But you got Reinhardt, who's real big. You got Diva's mech suit you could do. But so it'll be interesting to see exactly how they do that. Bastion would be a great one since he's basically a giant robot tank. So yeah, look forward to seeing what those are. Those are always cool. Lego's great. Lego's real cool. It actually piqued my interest when you said that on the Toys That Made Us episode, having Legos in there. So very cool. All right, another thing, PS4 is coming out with a new controller. I've talked about my Elite controller, the Xbox Elite controller that I have. I love it. It's the best controller I've ever had. It's got some heft to it. It's got the interchangeable buttons and the sticks. You can make higher and lower to the point where one broke, and it was a $150 controller. One of them broke because anyone in the house, but it wasn't any of my kids. It fell off the TV stand and smashed and broke. And I loved it so much that I went and bought another one for $150 because I just had to have that Elite controller. I like it so much. Well, PlayStation doesn't really have anything like that. And they're, the Xbox one is made by Microsoft. Well, now Scuff, who is a company that is known for making some peripherals, making quality peripherals, is going to make a Sony licensed PS4 controller that has Xbox Elite-like features. It's called the Scuff Vantage. It'll have the interchangeable buttons, the D-paddle. You can change that out. The sticks will be different. They'll have paddles on the back that you can assign buttons to as well. It's coming this summer. There's going to be two versions, a wired and a wireless. The wired one's going to cost $170. Wireless one is going to cost $200.
Oh my goodness.
Chad,
that's insane.
I'm very excited about this. I love the fact that PS4 is finally getting not a $200 controller. I'm not excited about that. I'm excited. I was looking at, I couldn't get that out of my brain. I'm excited that they're getting an Elite controller. But this is too much.
What? Yeah. I mean, is it $150 is a lot too. I mean, it's a great controller. And is it worth $150? Yeah, it's probably worth $100. I mean, controllers are like $60-$70, normal ones. $100 for this Elite controller Xbox One is a good deal. And obviously I bought two of them at $150, so I really, really like it. Is it worth $150? No, probably not. But to add another $50 to a wireless, I mean,
and why make a wired version? What are you doing?
Yeah. Who does that anymore? What is this, a Nintendo Classic controller? That's
a bizarre move.
Maybe just because of the sticker shock, but $30 cheaper. Yeah, still, I mean, maybe if it was $125 for a wired, that would be
no way ever am I spending $170 on something with a wired. Come on,
yeah, kind of crazy.
That's crazy.
But the look of it is great. I'm sure the heft of it. I mean, and honestly, the way it's made, the Elite one is part of it. And the ability to add the other buttons and customize it is cool, but I don't know, for $200. I mean, I'm sure people will buy them. There's no doubt people will. I just don't know if we are those people.
Maybe that's the missing piece to step up my Fortnite game.
That could be it.
I need this Elite controller.
There you go. I mean, the game was free, so that's
all exactly. I've gotten at least $200 worth of enjoyment out of that game.
There you go.
I can spend it on a controller.
Well, there you go. That's coming this summer if you're inclined.
The PS4 controller is already probably my favorite video game controller.
It's a good one.
Like the one before, the DualShock 3 or whatever,
before
was really, really good. I really liked that one too, and I think the 4 is even better. So I can only imagine what an Elite version would be like, but I don't know.
It looks fantastic. So all right, well, speeding up here as we approach the hour mark for tonight, and we don't want to keep going too long. Something I know, Josh, you're really, really excited about coming out in 2019, announced for sure, is The Wolf Among Us Season 2, Telltale's game. Your favorite Telltale game, if I'm not mistaken, yes?
It is. It is my favorite Telltale game, and I was hoping for this for years.
Yeah, we talked about it a couple years ago.
Yeah, pretty much thought that the ship had sailed. It did pretty well when it released, and then just silence on this for years. Great comic. Really, really, really good game. So I'm excited.
Set in the Fables universe. Yeah.
Yep.
So from what I understand, this will be on a new engine, finally. They're going to be using Ubisoft's Unity engine. So Telltale is known for a lot of their jankiness and their hiccups, and the engine is not great. But they continue to make them, and I don't know if this will be the first one on it. I'm guessing not the first one, being it's coming out next year, but it will be on the new Unity engine. So that's kind of cool.
It's they're making games as on the old engine as recently as Batman: The Enemy Within,
right? Which just finished up recently
on the old engine. So
maybe it will be the first. That could be.
It's entirely possible, I think. But it's exciting news.
Yeah, very. Quickly moving on, State of Decay 2 came out for the Xbox last week. It's on the Game Pass. Basically survival sim management zombie game. And Xbox announced that they had 1 million players play their game across PC and Xbox in the first week. So kudos to them. I know Dave, I was hoping Dave would be here. He was able to play that game a little bit. I think he talked about it a little bit last week after the podcast with Isaac. Him and Isaac were talking about it some. So State of Decay 2, 1 million players. The previously mentioned God of War has sold over 5 million copies in its first month. So that's pretty big for that.
That's impressive.
Obviously there's over or real close to 80 million PS4s out there. So if you look at it in context of that, that's not a ton, but still in the very first month to sell, and that month being April, to sell over 5 million copies is a pretty big deal. So kudos to them. And finally, for the news here for video games, Nintendo announced that in Japan, here coming this summer, they're going to be selling a dockless version of the Switch. So far, they're not saying it's going to come to the U.S., and all indications point that it probably won't. But a dockless Switch like SKU, I would be interested in that only because my kids play my Switch all the time. I don't know about you, Brian. I know you guys have a Switch. They take it on in the car, and it seems like they play it more than I do. I would like to have another one that would be theirs, but I don't want to spend another $300 for another one.
But I don't understand the dockless part of it. Like
it won't come with a dock. It doesn't come with a power cable. It doesn't come with HDMI cable. And it doesn't come with a charger for the Joy-Cons. It just comes with the Joy-Cons and the console itself. That's all it comes with.
Charge it.
Well, this assumes you already have one with a dock, or you have a USB-C charger, which you can buy an AC charger or a car charger without a Nintendo. It doesn't even have to be a Nintendo brand. So that's my look at it, is if they do this, then that would give me a cheaper version or cheaper way to buy another Switch, that when their online service comes out here in September, spend the $35 for the family plan, and you can have up to, I think they said, 7 Switches on the same
So when you say dockless Switch, it's just they're going to sell a Switch without a dock, but it's the same exact Switch minus the dock. Okay, I thought there was some like difference with it.
Yeah, so that's cheaper. Yeah, it just doesn't have a dock, doesn't have an AC adapter for the charger, doesn't have HDMI cable. So it would be cheaper. I don't know how much cheaper. It sounds like the equivalent in yen to dollars is like $50 cheaper. So I don't think that's really like if it came over here and was just $250 instead of $300. I don't think I'd jump on that yet. But if it were under $200, then I would probably start to consider it at least to get one.
But you can buy it and then dock it if you already have a dock.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So it would. My guess is it would be like a lot of people's second Switch. Right? Sure. They've already got the initial one
or something. You can.
Yeah, and you don't want to buy everything again. That'd be my guess. I don't know for sure, but it's for now just in Japan, and it sounds like might not ever come here. But I'd be disappointed if it didn't. I guess at least have the option. So, all right. Well, that's all I've got for the video game news. One quick Star Wars news before we jump into our solo discussion, which I promise we'll try to keep a little bit short. We're not going to go through as much as we did last week with episode 8. But before that, there is, and see, I don't know, Brian, I'm sure you've heard a lot of this too. Are these rumors? Are these confirmed?
So
go ahead.
Well, I can say it if you want. So you said
go ahead.
On your outline here, Boba Fett movie. I feel like that's been confirmed along with an Obi-Wan movie, Fett directed by Logan, the director of Logan. But I also read, it was either today or yesterday, that now Lando was going to get his own spin-off movie with Donald Glover, obviously.
Interesting.
Which I don't know how I feel about that, because I'd rather see I'd be disappointed if they go this route and they don't give us like some Han Solo follow-ups after seeing Solo now, which I think we will, but that's a lot of Star Wars.
It's a lot of Star Wars. It's a lot of Star Wars.
But the Boba Fett and the Obi-Wan, I'm like 99% sure those are legit confirmed.
Yeah. So those are going to be coming in. Those are exciting. I know a lot of people really want the Obi-Wan movie for sure. Boba Fett's a cool character. I don't know how much. I guess it depends on the route they decide to take. But to have the director of Logan be the one that directs the Boba Fett movie gives me the feeling that it's going to be that grittier, darker version, which is what you would want with the Boba Fett movie, I would assume. So that gives me some hope when it comes to that too, because Logan was a very gritty movie. And that's what you feel like Boba Fett should definitely be in the underworld of bounty hunters. That's what you should get. So that is exciting coming up. Look for more news on that, but I wanted to mention that before we move into the Han Solo reaction discussion. So here's your moment. If you have not seen Han Solo, hour and 6 minutes or so into the podcast, this is it. You want to stop listening here? You definitely do not want to listen. I don't want you to listen. If you've not seen the Solo movie, do not listen. Please go watch it. Spend the money. Give them the money in the box office so everyone will stop saying how badly it's done at the box office.
Oh, my gosh.
Because it's a good movie, and if you're a Star Wars fan, even a smidge, you owe it to yourself to see this movie. Don't worry about what the critics are saying. From a Star Wars fan right here, go see it, please. Okay? So there you go. That was your warning. Spoiler warning. We're going to be talking about Han Solo, the movie. There you go. All right. So we've all seen it. Have either of you seen it more than one time? I've only seen it once.
I only saw it once. Yeah.
This once. Okay. I know Dave has seen it more than once. I want to say 2, maybe even 3 times. I don't know for sure. And it's I texted him, reached out to see if he's on his way, and I've got no response. That was almost an hour ago. So I'm guessing he may not make it.
Tied up with duct tape.
He's duct taped to the wall.
Can't respond.
We're finishing this game of Rocket League.
It's like, all right, kids, you have to stop playing my game when you leave. And they're like, we'll see about that.
Yeah. Scrappy little ones they are. So I'm guessing he may show up. You never know, Dave. He could show up right in the middle, and that would be great. So I don't really have a set of questions or any direction I want to go. I guess maybe we'll just start off by saying what you thought of it overall. and then we can get into talking about maybe some specific moments that we want to bring up. Like I said, we're a little over an hour, maybe hour 15 minutes or so, not quite here. So we don't want to go too much longer, maybe a half hour or so. I would say would be our max at this point. So overall, Brian, guest, what did you think? What did you think of the movie? What are your overall thoughts?
Yeah, so I'll just preface it by, I had zero expectations for this movie. I wasn't asking for a solo movie, wasn't really pumped for a solo movie, especially coming off of Last Jedi. And to be honest with you, I wasn't really even paying attention to any rumors or spoilers or speculation or any of that stuff like I was for the other Star Wars movies. So I kind of went into this one with a clear mind, open-headed, open-minded, no expectations. So the theater was packed. I'll say that. So that was nice when you go into a packed theater. Mm-hmm. And in my overall reaction to the movie was I loved it. I texted you guys that right away in the thread that I legitimately loved this movie, and I would have never thought I would have said that going into it. And and what was great was it seemed like everyone around me loved the movie. The parts they were supposed to kind of ooh and all at, they ooh and awed at, and even parts that I thought, didn't have a huge impact on me. The audience loved it, and that's cool. When the audience is into it, it just makes it that much better. They clapped at the end of the movie, which I love when that happens. Haven't seen that in a while. So yeah, I mean, for me, it was a great movie, really good movie.
Josh.
So I went into this much the same as Brian, probably even slightly more negative, I would say. Cause I was the guy that was not only was I not asking for a solo movie, I don't think I want one. Going into this movie, I was I would much prefer we leave all of that to the imagination. Don't put it on film, because I would rather just sort of that be legend and just wonder, about Han Solo's earlier years. Mm-hmm. But I really wasn't really paying attention to much of the speculation or any of the stories, like Brian said. So when I went into it, I didn't really have any expectations other than I'm just I was very uncertain how good it was going to be. Overall, I wouldn't say I loved the movie. So I definitely don't think it's a perfect movie, but I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Much more than I thought I was going to. I still I don't really buy Donald Glover as Lando. I just really I don't like him that much. He's a great actor. I like him as a person. I didn't love him as Lando. But I'll say for him what I kept thinking about Alden, which is they both very obviously worked very, very hard at capturing not only the essence of their characters, but even the way they spoke and their mannerisms and stuff like that. You could tell they both put a lot of time into learning that and then practicing it and doing it to where it just seemed natural. I at the beginning of the movie, I mean, we can talk about specifics. Overall, okay. I loved it.
Good.
I really, really liked it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm the same way. You can see I got, it looks like I have a nice Hawaiian shirt on, but it's my Chewbacca Hawaiian shirt. Yeah. Specifically one. And yeah, I think we learned our lessons maybe from episode 8 and the hype build up into how we just had expectations that as good as the movie could have been, never would have been met to what we thought it was going to be. And so I think the smart fans like us reined in our expectations for this. We were going in not expecting it to be everything we hoped, not expecting it to fill in all the blanks that we want to know about Han, or even to do a close to good job. Maybe we were just hoping it to be adequate. And that's how I was going into it. I didn't expect to love it. I expect to like it because it's Star Wars, but I expected to have things I did not like about it. And so going into that, I wouldn't say negative, but very low key in the hype area. And I was blown away. I will say I loved it. I've been trying to figure out how to get better. When you get 3 kids, Brian, as you know, It gets tougher to go see things and do things by yourself or with your wife. And so with the children, especially when you have even smaller little ones. So it's been tough, but I'm like, how can I connive my way to get back to the theater to see this movie again? I enjoyed it so much. I loved not everything about it, but most of that movie I enjoyed very, very much. So we as a whole, the three of us, have a very positive view of this movie. So let's talk about a few things about it, and we can bring up whatever we want. Like I said, I don't have an outline specifically. I'm going to give you one thing that I did not like. I audibly booed when this happened. I went with my son Carter. He's 12. I went with my brother, and I also went with my a friend of my brother's roommate and friend of ours. The four of us went. We sat in the very back row, and it was not packed. Surprisingly, there were quite a few seats. Again, I'm in Brookings, South Dakota. There's limited people that live in this area. I think there's more cows in the state than people, if that gives you an idea. So it wasn't packed. But we were up there, we're watching it. For me, it started off slow. It was dark, like visually dark, like the dark blues in the tunnels. It was hard for me to discern. And maybe that's because my eyes are old and I'm getting older. But it was very dark, and I had a hard time picking things out. So I didn't really enjoy that at the first. And then when he gets to the point where he's signing up for the Imperial Navy, wants to be a pilot, and the Imperial officer is there, is like, all right, what's your name? He's like, Han. He's like, Han what? Who are your people? He's like, I don't have any people. And he's like, the Imperial officer is like, Solo. And then he's like, Han Solo. I'm like, boo. Boo!
Oh, really?
I did the thumbs down. I was like, "Boo!"
You audibly did that, like yelled.
Oh boo. Yeah, not that loud, but I went boo like that, and looked at my brother and shook my head. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it.
See, I think so. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll say this character, this Han Solo character, this guy that's just, man, who he is. I would not have had a problem if that was a made-up name, like if he had taken on the name Han Solo himself. Or even if he had said, I'm on my own, or I'm Solo. And he's like, all right, Solo. But the fact that an Imperial officer stroked his chin, and obviously he didn't do that, but it's like, I'm going to give you the name Solo. Now that is his name?
So you more don't like it because the Imperial officer came up with it?
Yes. I thought it was a bad way to come up with it. Like I said, if his name was something different and he just made this up because he's an outlaw and he can't have his real name out there, I'd have been cool with that. But the fact that this guy just assigned it to him, I did not like. It's a small thing. It's a real nitpick, but I booed it.
So so two things, like the blue thing, like the blue hues or whatever. I think that's because like that whole thing was supposed to be dark because like those aliens couldn't have the sunlight.
Yeah.
And so that's why
that makes sense.
That was dark in the beginning. But
and it's Corellia. It's the streets. It's supposed to be dingy.
As far as the name goes, like I get that's probably gonna split people. But when he said like who are you with, and he kind of like has this moment where he just like, I got nobody and I'm alone, and it's kind of like it worked for me. It worked for me. It was like I'm glad it is. He is alone, and
it felt like from then on he just sort of like owned it.
Yeah,
sure. He was like, and
he did.
The only thing that is kind of weird about that is he does like later in the movie, he talks about his dad. My dad made ships like this. So so it's not like his parents died when he was younger or something. Like, so he could have said whatever his name was, but he chose not to use that. So there's some background there that we still don't have.
Yeah,
sure. And they may delve into that some, but you liked it, Josh.
I did. I really liked it. I was like, you know what? I'm okay with that being where his name came from. Speaking of, I feel like I just have to point out I got 2 out of my 3 predictions right.
Did you? See, I couldn't remember all of ours at that point. I'm like, I know I didn't do well, but
you did the name one, didn't you, Josh?
Yeah, one of them being that won't be his real name, and we'll find out maybe where it came from. But yeah, man, that like Brian was saying, that moment for me was more about like him realizing, now that she's gone, like I have nobody. And I'm alone. And then that guy says Solo, and it seemed like that was the moment where he was like, I'm on my own. Like I'm just doing my thing,
Fair enough.
The problem I had with that whole sequence, maybe don't crucify me if this makes me not as big a Star Wars nerd as I maybe appear to be, but Han Solo was an Imperial soldier.
Yeah.
Yep.
When did we find this out?
Even in the expanded universe, before Disney did away with that, he was part of the Imperial.
I had no idea.
It was always a pilot, though, as far as I remember. I don't remember him being like a, like a trench warfare guy. Yeah. But so
he was always wanted to be a pilot. But yeah, that's where he got his start. Was as in, especially with Disney's case, most people signed up for the Imperial Army because they were the saviors. They weren't the bad guys. They gave their planets, hope.
So the problem I have with that, then, I had no idea. If it's in the expanded universe, whatever. Yeah. The problem I have with that, though, is like it doesn't come up at all ever in the original trilogy. Not one time.
It's never mentioned his service.
The first time we see Han Solo, he's being hired to help the rebellion, and he doesn't one time ever mention, "Oh yeah, I used to fight for the Empire. Like I used to be a soldier."
Yeah,
I get it.
I think the only justification you say there is because he wasn't really like. I mean, yeah, he was part of it, but he wasn't in it. You know what I mean?
He wasn't loyal to the
didn't believe it.
He just did it to get out.
Yeah, it was. It was a means to an end.
Yeah, even going to the sign-up booth was to not get caught, right? Like, I want to be a pilot.
Well, no, he said before that, he said he was like his plan was to sign up, and be a pilot for the Empire. But like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I get it.
That's the only problem I have with that. Like, it didn't ever come up one time. They never had a discussion about this. Right. Come on, but
like, even the way Finn does, right? Like, oh yeah, you fly real low because the radar doesn't pick up whatever. You would know some things, but
I was like, what?
So speaking of the Imperial stuff, did you like the battle scenes when he was in the infantry and all those things were blowing up and it was chaos? I was telling my brother, we've seen a lot of Star Wars war, right? Like actual wars, the droids, the clones, the Jedi. This for me was the first time I ever felt like it was war.
Yeah.
Like dudes getting blown to smithereens, chaos. There's not a line of. No, it was like what you expect, like Saving Private Ryan war to feel like scary. You just have no idea what's going on.
It had like a World War I vibe to me.
Yeah.
But
even in episode 2, where we see those huge like epic battle scenes, like it didn't feel like that.
No,
those are clean, right? Like clean,
this was muddy and dirty, and
explosions.
No, that was surprising too, because you also didn't. None of them had masks. I mean, a couple of them had helmets on, but they were so muddy. But to see the face, of the person that's the Empire, it was different, man. That was a different
vibe.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, like that was the moment for me in this movie where, because that's still like fairly early on. The beginning, so when this movie started, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna hate this. I'm gonna hate it." The entire first part of the movie, like he was both of them. It was like they were both overacting, and I understand after seeing the rest of the movie why, but they were both like seemed like so innocent and just very like, okay, let's go steal a car, and like just almost like hokey. And I was like, if this is how the whole thing is, I hate it. Like I don't want this. And then that was the moment for me where it sort of turned, and I was like, oh, okay, like I get it. Like that was early life. That was when he was
pure
like innocent, young and kind of innocent.
Like younger.
He was already sort of a street urchin, but he was younger and just more wide-eyed. And now he's like learning about how things work, and like he spent some time literally in the trenches, and like so that was the moment where I was like, oh, okay, all right, I like this. Yeah.
So in that part, we finally meet Chewbacca, right? When he defects or he tries to blackmail Beckett, basically, who we find out to be Beckett, and he's like, he wants to go with them. He knows they're not part of the army. He says, you're the armor you're wearing has a laser blast right through his chest, so I'm guessing that's not yours. And he thinks he's gonna basically turn him over to the lieutenant by saying this guy's not really a captain, and it backfires on him and he gets locked up, and they like take him to the beast. When they said that, did either of you go Chewbacca? Did you think that immediately?
I did.
Did you?
I did.
You did?
I didn't.
I didn't either. Not immediately.
Really?
for a split second, I'm like, well, they going to do a Rancor again when they threw him down in the pit?
That's what I was
thinking. And he's chained to that chain. I'm like, another Rancor? But then you see, so obviously that's not the case. That he's chained to Chewbacca. He's down in this hole and he's drenched. He's muddy. He looks dirty. He looks skinny. But then he starts throwing Han around like a rag doll. Yeah. And for me, I'm like, wow. I mean, we've always known that the Wookiees are strong. You know, we've seen them in episode 2 fighting the droids. We've seen, even if you watch the cartoons, you see the Wookiees throwing people around. But for me, this was the first time I remember seeing like how strong Chewbacca really is. And he literally was throwing Han into the side of the wall, hitting him against the pipe. And I'm like, Chewbacca looks like powerful in this scene. Did you guys like the way
that's also in his prime too? Like,
he's only 190 at this point.
You can explain that by saying, like, when we saw him, it's like 30 or 40 years later.
Yeah.
Not 30 or 40 years later. Like in The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, it is.
Right.
But like, even in like episode 4, it's probably at least 10 years later or so. He's older.
Yeah. Did you like the introduction of the two of them? And we didn't get the life debt by name per se, which is what's from EU. That's not canon. It never was in the movies.
But it's not.
No, that was the EU thing. It was never in any of the movies or anything like that. But that was something that really stuck with the two of them, was the life debt that Han saved his life somehow, and that's why Chewie's always there. We didn't get that specifically, but they teamed up immediately and worked to get away, as they're both basically in slavery to the situation they're in. Did you like the meeting, and did you like the fact Han spoke Wookiee speak, and they subtitled it for you?
Yeah, I thought the meeting was I thought it was okay. Like I said, seeing a muddy Wookiee, Chewbacca was kind of cool. So it's not the way I ever imagined it. I don't know how I imagined it, I guess, to begin with. But I was okay with that. The whole Wookiee speak thing. Wasn't expecting.
I do a better Chewbacca than he did.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bad, right? It wasn't great.
It was not that great, but it kind of gives you the understanding of, okay, well, that's how he always understood. He knew the language, and they kind of showed that. Thank God, though, I was a little worried when they did that they're going to carry that on through, a good part of the movie. That would have drove me nuts. Hearing him do Wookiee talk. What do you think?
When he understands English, obviously, Chewbacca understands, or basic as they call it.
I don't really know what I was expecting to see as far as like their first meeting, or like how they become friends or whatever. So I really like how they set it up. I really like it, and I like that it shows us two things. It shows us that Chewie didn't want to be there either, and had his own like tragedy, but also it shows Han's ability to sort of talk his way out of anything, because it's essentially what he did. It was a super eye roll moment though when he was like, I was like, you know what? Come on, like, couldn't you just say, I understand what you're saying? Can we talk or whatever? Like, you didn't have to speak it. That was weird.
Right.
Well, let me ask you guys this though: are we to assume then that Chewbacca was eating people?
Right, because was that weird. I mean,
we haven't fed him in days, and they threw him down there, basically assuming that he's going to eat them.
I mean,
you do what you got to do, right?
That's what I was assuming. They always allude to the fact that Wookiees can be extremely violent and have short tempers.
It's not like it's cannibalism, because he's not eating his own kind; he's eating other kinds.
Right. Yeah.
So you got a Chewbacca that ate some kind of alien species that was. I mean, they showed the armor, right, to the point where he won't eat porgs because he feels bad about it. Like, that's how much softer he's gotten in those 30, 40 years. Is I'll eat anything you throw in a pit, but I won't eat these little scrumptious birds because they look at me weird. Did you guys notice when he was pushing them down into the mud that you kind of got a little bit of the frozen and carbonite?
I didn't even think about that. That's cool.
His hands come up and his face gets pushed down to right to below his eyes. I did
notice his face, getting pushed in there. But dude, that's a good Easter egg there. I didn't even think of that.
It's a good in defense of Chewie, I have to say that we don't know how long it's been before his last meal. Since his
that's
last
true.
Meal.
Yeah. Well, they said days.
He was a prisoner.
He hasn't been fed in days.
He hadn't been fit in days. Welcome, Dave, to the podcast. Good timing. We're in the Han Solo discussion, as you probably figured out.
Are we going in chronological order?
We have no set specific outline. We have about 15 more minutes of time that we have left to discuss this. So we've just to kind of let you know where we're at. We've given our overall thoughts. The three of us have enjoyed it. I'm going to give you a chance to do that as well. And then we're just bringing up things that we want to discuss and talk about, highlights up to this point. So it's not chronological, just things that we're not going to go through the whole movie, but the things that we liked, didn't like, what we want to talk about. So overall, for you, what?
Wait, Brian.
Wait, what?
What's happening? Oh, there you go. Very nice.
Han Solo posters.
Matching posters.
The IMAX poster.
Yeah,
they're best friends.
I haven't been to an IMAX in a long time, and I'm really good. It was that. I'm really glad it was that movie. I should say. I don't know how to.
So what's your overall? What was your overall feeling? I think we know, but what was your overall feeling of this movie, Dave?
Well, as Brian knows, when we were over at the Star Wars Rant podcast, rest in peace. I'm just kidding. It's not over. We all were kind of the same mindset. Chad was a little bit more enthusiastic just because I think he feels like he had to be. But I think he felt the same way. It was kind of necessary. It was kind of like an understood, like, who needs this movie? Like, who asked for this movie? Not that we wouldn't love to see more about Han Solo, but you immediately run the risk of making this character less cool because you're walking on thin ice. You know, you've told a story, and The Last Jedi ends his entire story, and now you're going back and telling some things that we've for years have played out in our minds as to what happened. Like this, we all have our own idea, some similar, some others different, of what happened. Now they're telling some of these stories. So for people like me, who has a combination of Han Solo is probably my favorite, if not one of my favorite fictional characters, ironically, right next to Indiana Jones, and Harrison Ford is one of my favorite actors of any movie. Like all of his movies I love.
Hard to live up to that.
Yeah, so going in, I'm already, Harrison Ford is Han Solo to me, and Han Solo, the idea that I have in my mind, my favorite character, is going to be brought to the screen again in a new story. So I had to check my expectations. I feel at the door. I had to tell myself, do not compare this guy to Han Solo, or you're going to ruin it for yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Because I had already been doing it from the onset, from the trailers and all that stuff, and hearing his voice. That was one of my complaints. Like, okay, like I can set aside the fact that that kid from Age of Adeline, who really looks like a young Han Solo and can talk like him and has his own YouTube channel where he's had millions of views on his impersonation of him, and it sounds really good. Like, it sounds great. We don't know the story of that. We don't know if maybe his screen testing was really bad. We don't know what, So I try to take all that out of the picture. But just listening to him, I was like, man, it just doesn't sound like Han. Now, what I wasn't expecting wasn't taking into account all of the other things that make Han. Like, for example, right off the bat, when I started watching this, when Chewie came into play, I thought it was awesome. We were just talking about it. I thought it was awesome how they introduced him, how they met. Like, I was like, never would have ever expected that's what it was. Han got thrown into a pit to be eaten by Chewie. Never would have thought it. I mean, all the way until I saw the footstep, I didn't think, oh, that's Chewie back there.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh no, it's Chewie. Like, that was an awesome reveal. But I didn't realize until I saw them together how much just seeing Chewie there, who, of course, no matter who's in the suit, is going to look the same.
Right.
Made it easier for that to be Han, number one.
Accept it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Donald Glover's portrayal of Lando made it easier for me to accept that as Han as well, because
let's talk about that for a minute, because I know we have some maybe differing opinions on that. But in one word, Dave, overall, you liked.
I loved it
a lot. Okay.
I loved it. I think I said that I liked it better than The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi.
It's impressive. That's a statement to say. Talking about their portrayals, We talked a little bit about it before. Alden Ehrenreich doing the Han Solo, not perfect. Obviously we've seen that, we know that. Donald Glover, we had the trailers and see what that was, but seeing the movie, and I think I'm in the same camp as you are, Dave. Seeing Donald Glover do Lando, for me, Josh, when I saw that, I'm like, what? And you'd mentioned it, his mannerisms and everything. Yeah. You talked about that already. When Donald Glover did Lando sitting at that table, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is nailing Calrissian.
For me, it wasn't the whole movie. I think they made it a point on purpose, and maybe this was Glover that did it on his own, but the first line you heard Glover say sounded like he was trying to mimic Billy D. Williams' voice, as much as he could. He didn't do it the rest of the time. He kind of went into his own
100%.
version. But the first line I heard, that sounds like Lando to me.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think he nailed Lando in his even with when she's hitting the cape and putting the fire out, and he's like freaking out that she's using his really expensive cape to smash out fire.
And see,
it was him.
They had a lot more room to play with Lando, because even though we did see him a lot more in Jedi, I mean, I shouldn't say a lot more. Most of the time, he was just sitting in the
bigger role, though.
He had a bigger role, but you've got far less of him than Han. Far less. So you had a lot more play, and I thought they did a good job of showing you how else Lando acts when compared to what we know of him. To me, it made sense, the kind of guy he is. He now, obviously, the Lando in Bespin City is a lot more mature. He's a legitimate, seems on the straight and narrow businessman now.
He's now working with a mining company, which he mentioned he hates mining companies in this movie.
The worst.
So, Josh, what was it about him that you didn't set right with you? What is your thought on the whole Donald Glover Lando thing?
So I really like I like how they developed his character. I like his backstory. I like seeing that he's just like, he's sort of like dove into this life of like being this, do
we know what he is? He's just he's not a smuggler.
No.
He's just
is he wealthy from like his family, or just swindling people? I don't know what we even know.
Swindling. I think.
Yeah, it seems like he's just he's just a con man. And
Sawyer, if you will.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I really like all that backstory. I like that they explored that a little bit with him, showed more of that. And I do think that when he was trying to Donald Glover really pulled off a Billy D. Williams pretty well, as did Alden, a Harrison Ford, when he was trying, I think. But all that being said, I can't really put my finger on it, but there's something about Donald Glover as Lando that just doesn't he doesn't sell the character for me like super well. It is very difficult to mimic another person's mannerisms and voice, and I think he did that really well. So I give him full credit for that. I think he did a great job, and he's a great actor. I like him as a person, and I like him in everything else I've seen him in. I don't know. I just can't tell what it is, but I didn't love him. I didn't love him as Lando.
Brian, any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So for me, let me preface it by saying I may have seen these two guys, Alden and Donald Glover, in other movies or shows or films. If I did, I don't remember them, so I don't know if that helps a little bit.
Well,
because I don't have. Well, yeah, I know Donald Glover did like a cameo in it, right? But I don't have like a base for them,
right?
So I'll say I do agree. Like I did notice Lando, like his impersonation, if you want to call it, kind of went in and out. You could almost say the same about Alden a little bit, but for me, I didn't pay attention to it as much because the dialogue was really strong. The way it was written, I mean, the dialogue was what they would say. It was true to their characters from the original trilogy. So the dialogue was great, and it made it that much believable, as well as the mannerisms, definitely helped as well. Pull some of that off. So for me, I kind of with Alden, I kind of lost the whole idea of like that his voice may not be like Harrison, and I bought him as Solo. Lando, I did catch myself in the middle of the movie at some point saying, oh, he kind of stopped doing the Lando thing as far as the voice goes, but the personality and the dialogue and the chemistry between him and Han Solo, the character, it was right there for me. So I thought they did a great job.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
did you give yours already?
Yeah, I liked it. I thought he nailed it. I enjoyed. I almost thought that he did better at Lando than Alden did at Han. Not that he did bad, because I enjoyed his Han. Like kind of like you said in the text thread, Dave. Like when you stop looking at him to be Harrison Ford as Han, and just let him be this character Solo at this time.
Han Solo. You can see Han Solo. If you're looking for Harrison Ford, you're not going to see him.
You can have our time.
See Han Solo.
Yeah, and that's a great way to say it.
I did see Harrison Ford though at times. Like it was.
There were times.
Obvious.
There were.
Not so much in the voice, because it's like I think it's harder for
the mannerisms
to match him, but it's definitely the mannerisms and the expressions.
And I think they played it very smart on how they did that, where they told him to do it, and where some of the subtle things that he would do.
Yeah,
like at the end when he's talking to infants. What's the nest? I was going to say infant's nest. What is it?
Infants. It's ENFYNS, I think.
Okay.
Infants.
When they're saying, join us, and he's just like, and he does something like this. He does. As he's turning, and kind of waves him off, and I was like, I don't even know why. I'm thinking in my mind somewhere Han Solo did that. It's just seemed Han Solo.
It's just what he's known as.
He get like at one point he does one of these where like, the shoulder shrug that he does outside of the shield generator on Endor.
Right.
He does one of those in the movie at some point, and it's like spot on. Even I was shocked sometimes at how much he made his face look like Harrison Ford's face with some of the expressions he was doing. And I'm like that has to take hours and hours.
Yeah, I think I think that's where I think that's why he had acting coaching, where people are like, oh, they had to have an acting coach come in. I don't think it was because the kid didn't know how to act. They were trying
to do.
They were trying to have him incorporate some of these impressions in with his acting, which most actors don't have to do.
Harrison Ford even came in and helped him out a little bit.
Yeah, so, and I think they did that on purpose and did it very well, where they wrote in a little bit here, a little bit there, just to remind you who this person's reminding you of. This character is.
Even in that same moment, Dave, when he's like turning them down for joining them, he goes, "Don't hold your breath, kid."
Yeah. Yes.
And just him like that phrase, and then him saying "kid" at the end of it, like he's not. There are
so many subtle nods. There are so many subtle nods too.
Yeah.
Oh, to the character.
So I loved him
very well.
I loved him as Solo.
Good. Yeah, and it's great. So speaking of Infant's Nest and that whole organization, that kind of brings us, if we go chronologically and maybe skipping some things, brings us to the heist, right? He's kind of reluctantly accepted as another member of this group, only because Chewbacca is...
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but you guys obviously already discussed his deserting, which I'm assuming. Which at first I was like, wow, that I didn't expect there to show that war, that side of the rebellion and empire that is there,
right?
But you don't really think about it,
right?
Yeah, and you realize, oh, Han was a part of this, and you realize, oh yeah, this was a war, Star Wars. There's a war going on. There are factions, and at some point it's not all political like the prequels. There actually came to be fighting, and it's dirty stuff. And so you've got him basically running, and I'm thinking, that's true to Han Solo. He was running in the beginning of the movie when you found him from Jabba the Hutt. I mean, he's been that kind of guy, running, trying to think on his feet and figure out how can I get out of this while staying 2 steps ahead of these people that are trying to kill me.
Because he's living
living with a bounty on his
senseless thing.
Like what's his name tells him, it's not an easy thing to do at the end. But yeah, so I thought that was cool.
So Infant's Nest, yeah. So moving on from that, yeah, we did talk about that. I think we're on the same thought process there too. The whole heist scene, right, where they're trying to steal this thing off this train. They're accepted into this group based on basically that they have a Wookiee. They're really strong, and you've never had a good sleep unless you wake up in the lap of a Wookiee. We're told. Again, they're basically brought in.
Great Han Solo saying, "Well, they took you because of me." Like, just tell
Chewie that. Chewie's like the other way around. So for me, we don't have to necessarily talk about the group or even the scenes, but like the fight scene, the action scenes of it in the mountains. That's where the goggles come in with Chewbacca and Han. Han does save Chewie's life. I mean, you'd assume that if he hadn't done a little bit of pulling, he would have run into that rock. But every time I see the leader of Infant's Nest, I just see Destiny, the video game, because it looks just like a captain from Destiny. Like, it's not exact, but the helmet, I'm just like, holy crap, it's a Destiny. And they're even on the Sparrow, like floating things, which from Jedi we get but I'm just like, gosh, they've really channeled Destiny in this alien race, which we think at first that they're just, we don't know what they are. Did you guys enjoy the setup to that? The need and kind of the secrecy of what they're getting and for whom they're getting it for, the heist, how it goes wrong, and then how Han gives up in order to save Beckett's life, his own life, and Chewbacca's life. Did you guys like that whole scene and that whole setup, how that went?
I loved it all. I mean, I liked how they really quickly, you see him come from Corellia and being brought up, and he's an orphan or whatever. He does mention his dad later, but then they're on this thing. It's 3 years later. They're not much older, but he's fresh off the boat, so to speak. He's just getting into this life, and what's his name gets shot and killed, and they made a point. Yeah, they made a point to show you his face. Like, this is the first time, like, one of his wingmen, so to speak, or people that he's involved with, other than the military, I would think, which I don't think he was really paying attention to that, just died, and he realizes this is real. You could see it, like he was understanding. Oh wow, this is life and death. Like, this is
right.
This guy just died, and I could die here. And later, of course, you see, I can't remember her name. I wasn't expecting her to go so fast.
Val, yeah,
but
sacrificed herself.
Yeah, just a little bit to backtrack too, and I'll turn it over to the rest of the guys. I don't think necessarily, unless they're referring to the fact that he sprung him in the beginning, I don't think they've shown the reason why Chewie.
I think it's just mutual, and they've never, like, once we talked about it a little bit. The life debt is the EU stuff, which doesn't technically exist anymore.
Because Chewie saved Han's life at least once in this movie.
Yeah. They're basically just working to their own benefits to get to. He wants to get to his family, and at this point, Han just wants to get back to Kira.
And eventually,
right now, working together
to stay with him. They decide to stay together.
Yeah, you could just seeing this movie, you could argue that they're definitely even, at least.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, Josh, Brian, what do you guys think of that whole train heist setup?
I liked it. It felt it's a cool take on, like, the train heist idea. Like, it's a very old idea, but that's a cool take on that. I really liked it.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought it was a good twist to the story too. Once you find out what her deal is, I thought it was good story writing.
Same. It built the characters. Him and Beckett's relationship was built there. Yeah. Chewbacca and his relationship was built there. So you see, the jobs that they go through. So let's talk about Beckett going to Durden, right? Durden Voss, which we assume.
Was it Dryden?
Dryden, yeah.
That's right. Yeah, Dryden. Dryden Voss. Not Durden. Not the leader of the Crimson Sun, but we're told right away, at least fairly early, that I recall that he does answer to somebody. But he is very powerful in this basic black market, criminal organization overlord. And so Beckett's been working for him. It's not for Beckett. Beckett's answers to someone who also answers to someone. Did you like Jarvis playing this guy as a bad guy? Did he do a good job? And how did you feel when Kira shows up not just surprisingly there, but also that she's like his number 2. What did you guys think of that, Josh?
Sorry. So I figured, just because I had seen some of the trailers and stuff like that, I figured that was where she was going to pop up. So I feel like I saw that coming. I liked his portrayal.
Did you see her being as high up as she was?
Yeah,
but still a slave.
Just because of the trailer, I figured that she it seemed obvious that she had done okay for herself in the meantime, and sort of like figured out a way to survive. And when we were at that point in the movie, I was figuring she's probably she's in this life just like Han is. So, she came from Corellia too. So she probably figured out a way to, to get by, and she's worked her way up. So I really liked Paul Bettany's portrayal of this villain. I'm assuming that somewhere in the comics or books or whatever, we'll get some kind of an explanation as to what was happening with his face, because
undoubtedly
it went away when he died, and I was like, what was that? What was it? Yeah, his face went completely pale. Those stripes were gone.
Yeah. And the angrier he got, the redder they were too.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
So I was dying to know what was happening with that. But I really liked his character. He felt immediately he's got this gravitas, and he feels like a dangerous, kind of person. And the way that he just at a moment's notice, on a dime, could go from super friendly and welcoming and hospitable to ready to cut your head off. I liked he was a good villain. I liked him.
I agree. So we got about 10 minutes. I know that really squeezes it, but I really want to finish here in about 10 minutes. So what did you guys, the two of you, what did you guys think about Jordan and that whole Amelia Clark, Kira reveal and all that? Thoughts on those, Brian?
I didn't. So let me see. I thought Kira was gonna betray him right at the beginning of the movie when they're in the car, and he's she's holding that blue power thing, just the look she gave.
I thought the same thing, Brian.
I thought right away there was going to be betrayal at that moment, but I was wrong. But no, I didn't know. I didn't think that she was as high up as she was when she first came back on the scene. So that was a surprise to me. I thought Paul Bettany as Dryden Voss, I thought was a great character. Again, no issues with it all. And I loved the chemistry between Kira and Han. How they got separated, that he was looking for her. I mean, the whole story worked. It was kind of convenient that he just so happened to run into her at this thing, but whatever. But I thought it was great.
Dave?
Yeah, Paul Bettany, multifaceted actor, man. I mean, I remember the first big memory I have of him was from A Knight's Tale when he played the bard, I think, or the Baird or whatever.
Yeah. That's funny.
And he was a crazy, wacky dude. I mean, you see him nude in the movie. I'm not full frontal, but I mean, just crazy dude. And of course, Jarvis. Ironically, he played a bad guy in a Harrison Ford movie. I think it was called Firewall or something.
Oh yeah.
It was
a good movie.
He breaks in to Han Solo's family. He's trying to get Han Solo, Harrison Ford. He's trying to get him to give him a code or something to do with.
Give me the keys to the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, and he paid Legion. That he was the guy.
Also a great movie.
He's got a lot of different types of ways he can go. He makes a good villain. He makes a good crazy person. Yeah. But he can also be completely calm and robotic in vision. So yeah, really good. I thought he did a really good job too. I noticed that too, Josh. As soon as he was stabbed, I was like, "That's way too fast for all the blood in your body to drain out to make you that pale."
Yeah,
it's it was almost like Vision. When Vision got killed, he lost all of his color.
Gray. Yep.
So it's man, that's kind of interesting. But so many things happened, you couldn't stop and think about it a lot. Kira, yeah, the previews gave that away that she was going to be there. I didn't expect her to necessarily be working for Dryden until I in the movie found out, oh, that's Dryden's ship. Then I started thinking she must work for him in some way or something. But other than that, yeah, I liked it. I was going to say, Josh, I don't know if maybe this happened to you, but for some reason the dissonance in that singing bothered me as soon as it sounded like something was off just a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't know if they did it on purpose because it's alien music.
Yeah.
Or what.
I didn't love that either. There was a few moments in the movie that were like really like eye roll, like, oh, okay, come on.
You got to do this.
One of them was at the beginning with that the stupid worm lady.
Oh, I thought she was all
like,
right.
Screw that. I hated that.
Whatever her name
come
is.
On.
Yeah,
like,
I wasn't a fan either, Josh.
Come on.
Yeah.
But like whatever, it's Star Wars. It like get weird with it. But you know, we had the cantina scene in A New Hope.
Get weird with it.
I would have been more happy with the original Jabba the Hutt actor type person playing that.
What's wrong with that?
Okay.
I thought it was good.
No. I'm saying the way that guy was, the way that Lucas envisioned Hutt in the first place when he was a human before he made a big monster.
Oh yeah.
He was kind of like a mob boss type guy with this weirdest. He looked like grungy. He looked kind of dirty and like slobby. Like I expected it. Like the woman from. This is a weird comparison. But the woman from Monsters Inc. The big slug from Monsters Inc.
Yeah, Mike
that kind of a lady, but just a human form, like ugly, like the girl, the lady from Goonies. Yeah, the mob lady from Goonies.
Sure,
sure. I've got these orphan kids, and you're working for me, and blah blah. Yeah. And it kind of had that voice, but it was like
that weird worm that didn't like sunlight.
Even more than that, the scene with those two singing. And the one little alien's like in that bottle or whatever it is.
I thought that was funny. I
hate it. I was like, come on.
That's like great Star Wars right there.
Ninja Turtle anime? What's his name?
Oh, yeah.
Crag or what is it? Krang.
Yeah.
He's always in that guy's stomach in a glass.
All right. Let's jump into so we got two more things I want to talk about for sure, and then maybe you guys have more. We need to talk about the Millennium Falcon and the Kessel Run.
On at least 30 minutes, Chad. I mean, come on.
We can't do it. It's impossible. So the Millennium Falcon, the Kessel Run, and the reveal of Darth Maul. Not Darth, just Maul, because he's no longer a Sith. So I'm assuming you guys liked the Millennium Falcon. How obviously they have the card games. We talked about Donald Glover and his interaction a little bit, and their character, their charisma. Him taking over the Millennium Falcon, saving them, cutting through the nebula, and just his ability to fly through that, and it's fine. I got a good feeling about this. Everything's fine. See, I told you.
First time he's piloted the ship.
Yeah,
like Ray.
Right. First time behind the controls. Like first time he was able to. Like Lando's like da. This is my ship.
Doesn't he say he is familiar with it though? Like he knows
because his dad.
It's Corellian.
Yeah.
His dad made him. Yeah. So he's familiar with the freighter itself, just not this particular ship. Right. So, did you guys enjoy the big tentacle monster, the eyeball, the black hole sucking them in, the last second ditched effort to burst their way through?
I was not expecting to. When I first saw the tentacles in the preview, I was like, "What?" Like I was space squid or like a space something. And when I'm sitting there in the IMAX watching it, I'm like, this is freaking awesome. My favorite part was the throwback music to the asteroid field from Empire Strikes Back. When that hit,
my gosh.
I was like, this is the Han Solo Millennium Falcon music.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
And the Imperial March. The Imperial March when the Star Destroyer comes into that tunnel and just fills that
asteroid.
Space.
It was this movie's asteroid.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed. That sequence right there, that's some of the best visuals. In my opinion, that's some of the best visuals we've gotten in a Star Wars movie.
And learning that learning now that it's canon that the Falcon actually has its own mind from the droid.
Well,
that's interesting.
It's got a personality.
In the books, if you recall, go back and listen to some Star Wars rant podcasts.
Yeah.
The Millennium Falcon, I believe, has 4 or 5 droid minds in it. Now, it's cool that L3 is one of them, but when R2 is interacting, he talks to those droids. And he knows there's one droid, for instance, likes dirty stories, and R2 will tell this droid dirty stories to get information that he wants. One of them is really cantankerous. So is she the first? We know. That's what. Yeah, we don't know if she's the first one or is there other ones there, but it is cool that her brain or her mind is one of the consciousnesses in there
for the navigation, basically.
Yeah, you can almost assume that she was the first because they were like, "Can we even do this?"
You would assume.
Yeah, right.
Good point. So
she's part of the ship now, and I thought it was brilliant to show him beat the heck out of it. to where it landed on that planet almost.
Yes. Yeah, I was going to say that.
And you're like
falling apart.
It's the Falcon.
Yeah, that's
good job. Man, she's a great ship
crap.
or whatever. Yep. Now, the one thing it doesn't solve is the interior looking like 50 years older.
That's true.
Right, but
it did start to get pretty messed up in there, and I
got burned. But
you can assume then this is Han Solo, and he's going to continue to get it.
He's got the ship
like this,
right?
That
he's going to continue to beat it.
Yeah, it's always going to happen to him. Yeah. But what do you guys think about the him losing the escape pod, and that's how he got the?
I like.
I knew it had.
That was cool.
I thought either it had to be something detachable or the front end got ripped off, because I didn't realize until I saw it happen the escape pod was the shape of an arrow, because I always said, even if the escape, I was thinking, oh, there's something in the middle that comes out. I'm like, the nose is still too long for it to be like the Falcon. Yeah. So the fact that it was literally like an arrowhead coming off made sense. And as soon as it came off, you're like, oh man, this is awesome. This is the Millennium Falcon. You know, the best.
And I think you're right.
Spaceship.
Oh, okay. I think you're right, Dave. Too. The music, the music is what really. Well,
see, I didn't get to finish my original thought at the very beginning about why he worked as Han. I think he worked as Han because he did a great job, but also because you saw Chewie alongside him. You saw a good portrayal of Lando alongside him. You saw the Falcon, and all those things together, I think, just made it perfect. It was. I didn't expect. Oh, what about the other things to make this Han Solo? I was just thinking. I was putting it all in his portrayal, which was not going to win him for me. But he didn't. It didn't have to. They didn't make it about
everything around it.
Yes.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay. It was a great job.
All right. Well, let's quickly finish up here then with the final big shocker reveal. Kira.
Wait, before we do this reveal. Warwick, what's his face?
Davis.
Warwick Davis
was in this movie.
Reprises his role.
Yeah.
From episode, is it 3?
3.
Of Weasel.
Yep.
Weasel. That was cool.
So I had seen like glimpses of stories that said something about like a cameo in this movie before I saw it. And I was like, hey, there he is. That's like, I thought that was a cameo. And I was really excited. I was like, that's cool. Yeah. Like, it's cool that he's been in this.
Another cameo that I didn't catch. Dave, how many times have you seen it?
Twice.
Okay. Apparently Anthony Daniels is in the movie. Actor that plays C-3PO. When the Wookiees are being freed when Chewbacca goes back to free his Wookiee buddies, Anthony Daniels is one of the humans that is being buzzed along with the Wookiees.
Oh,
I didn't catch that. I didn't know that either. And then one other...
Like, what? That's not canon.
One other little Easter egg, I guess, when Kira takes out the negotiator on the minor planet, and Beckett comes in, he's like, "Oh, well, that was quick." She's like, she said it was Terakasi, which Terakasi, if you know your old video games, there's a Star Wars Masters of Terakasi, which is a fighting game.
Yep.
So Terakasi is a fighting style that was developed by individuals that wanted to defeat Jedi and fight with Jedi without having the Force abilities that Jedi have. It gave them the opportunity to have super fast reflexes, even be able to see things before they happen. And the Praetorian Guards in Episode 8 were trained in Terakasi as well.
I knew that.
So she knows the fighting style that those guys, which fought to, Force individuals.
Interesting.
So I thought that was kind of a cool little video game Terakasi nod.
Yeah.
So we get to the very end with all the stuff. There's a double cross and then a triple cross, and then Kira basically kills
again
Jordan.
Classic Han Solo. Having the final swindle. He did think 2 steps ahead. He did figure it out.
Pretending that it wasn't real, but it really was. He's like, "Oh, just be careful." Not because he's trying to play it off, but because it really was the stuff. And then she ends up killing her master, basically. You think to run away with Han Solo and be the happy ending, but because we know how it kind of goes, it really doesn't make sense. And you find out that she doesn't stab him in the back. She lets him have the stuff and leave unharmed.
She does care about him.
Because she does care about him, knowing that he would have to kill Beckett, and she assumed that he would be able to do that, which, pause, the Han shot first.
Awesome
moment, right? What a great moment.
I was in the
he
theater.
Didn't finish his sentence.
Yeah, I was so happy.
I'm in the theater, and it happens, and I go like this. Han shot first.
Someone
was like,
if Beckett had killed him there, because he said there's one more lesson. The lesson would have been shoot first, is what the lesson was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was
like,
cool.
I would have killed you. He's like, I know. So that was great. So you have Kira basically saying, okay, now I'm going to take my boss's, or my master's spot, and I'm going to lie to whoever he's talking to and basically become. So she brings up the hologram. You see the side. You see the blue hologram. You see like a chair. You see, if you really look closely, you see a metal leg. And I didn't notice it at first, and I jabbed Carter, and I'm like, the Emperor? Like, that's what I thought before he started talking. And Carter's like, that's not the Emperor. I was like, it is. He's like, it's Maul. I'm like, what?
He
saw the leg. He saw the metal leg from the side, and
that's
he
awesome,
knew immediately. I was impressed.
Awesome.
And so, sure enough, you turn around, and it's Darth Maul, and she gives him the story of what happened and who's killed, and he basically says, come to me. We've got a lot of work to do, you and I. And he force pulls his, basically just so we have him demonstrate his power, because he really has no need to do this. But he brings his lightsaber to him and lights both sides and menacingly looks into the holo.
I thought about that too. Like, there's not any reason for him to like that, but it's cool.
There's someone
for me.
Right, it's cool.
I was like, really? Is he getting ready to kill somebody? What's happening?
He's like, oh, I'm just angry. I'm gonna grab this around.
Yeah.
So he lights that, and I know because I heard as I was walking out, a lot of people aren't like you and I.
Yeah.
That they don't know he's still alive, and they think from episode 1 he's dead.
Yeah.
A lot of people are surprised.
How is Maul still alive? And I'm like, ha, fake Star Wars fans. Watch cartoons. How about you watch cartoons, you losers? But it was cool, and I mean, I kind of felt that way a little bit. But it is cool that they brought him back in. It is cool that they've, played off the things that happened in the Clone Wars, his metal legs being still alive. The fact that he is in charge of the Crimson Sun, crime syndicates after being on Mandalore and being in charge there, and then knowing in Rebels, spoilers for Rebels, guys, knowing that he eventually does meet his end at the hands of Obi-Wan. I have a text thread that I'm in with Star Wars fans, quotes, if you guys listen to this. They didn't know that he was in Rebels. They're like, how cool would it be if they do an Obi-Wan movie and now they can bring Darth Maul in to fight him? I'm like, no, guys, that's happened already. You can't redo that story in live action. So after seeing that, one of my thoughts was, obviously they've signed Alden to a 3-picture deal. Doesn't mean they will do them, but the option is there. After seeing Maul and setting up this hierarchy and villainy, and the characters and everything that they laid out, I could see them doing a trilogy of Han Solo movies, and I think I'm okay with that.
See, that's where I had mixed feelings right at the end, because Darth Maul has been up to this point one of my least favorite villains in all of Star Wars. Like, it was just really cheesy. Like, just
because he comes from the prequels.
No, not because he comes from the prequels. Yeah. He is one of the reasons that I disliked Episode 1.
He's the best part of Episode 1.
Have you watched the Clone Wars?
Yes. Well, some of it. Yeah.
Did you like him in those?
I do.
Okay.
I like him now. I didn't like him in Episode 1. It was mostly like the visual effects. He wasn't it wasn't scary. Like, it was very, I don't know. It was very obviously like face paint. Like, I didn't like it. He didn't seem very scary. He seemed like he was.
I just thought it was awesome. Crying. It's the first time you see a double-bladed lightsaber, and you're thinking, how does this work? And it's the first time you see one person fight 2 Jedi, where it's like, wow, this is
big deal.
This is a big deal. Like, this guy is powerful. This guy is strong in the Force and a good lightsaber fighter.
Do you think this will bring us?
But
do you think that'll bring us more Han Solo movies?
I think it's possible. I think it's possible. Now, bear with me. What if they do a Darth Maul Star Wars story?
That's kind of already been done, honestly.
I don't think I want that.
Here's my thing. Let me answer your question, Chad. about the Han Solo
I
movies.
got it, and I love it.
I think there'll be more Han Solo movies. I'd be disappointed if there weren't, because there's so much more we could see, you know, them meeting up with Jabba and all that other stuff. I think if you did, so you could say you did a sequel, you could still have Maul in it somehow, but I don't think you'd ever see Solo and Maul meet. You can't have that happen because he doesn't
says in episode 4.
Yeah. Hokey religion. Yeah, he doesn't believe in that stuff, and so you can't have him see somebody like Maul and see what somebody like Maul can do. Yeah, and that's fine. She could say,
"Is he basically saying he's going to make her his apprentice?"
No.
No, I think he's just going to use her like he was using Voss as his underlord in the crime syndicate here.
But that's where I had mixed feelings. I don't want them to ever interact. Like, and I was
agree with you.
You can't.
When he popped onto the screen at the end, I was like, holy crap! Did not expect to see him. Right. That version of Darth Maul, like, much scarier looking, like much more menacing looking. I can get behind that Darth Maul for sure, or just Maul, I guess at this point. But then at that point, immediately I was like, they can't ever cross paths.
No, I agree.
That can happen.
You can use him though, like he said, like we said, as the crime lord and the puppeteer. And at this point, this Maul has no allegiance to the Sith. He hates Plagueis as much as he hates Obi-Wan. Yeah. He hates everyone, and at this point, he's just out to be who he wants to be and be the ruler he wants to be. So, yes, I don't think they can ever cross, because that would take away Han's. I've never seen anything across. He couldn't say that and be honest, which I guess they could do if they wanted to. You could say he's lying, but I don't think they'd go that direction with the character. But you can use him as a puppet master, and to have that bad guy as the guy running behind the scenes, I think is a great.
He's like the Emperor in the background in the old in the trilogy.
Yeah,
you know.
But I would like to see more of this Maul for sure.
Sure. Yeah. So, all right. Any last thoughts briefly as we go wrap it up?
Thank you, Ron Howard. He made a good movie.
Ron Howard, man,
saved it probably.
Great, yeah. I mean, when the name came in, I mean, it brought with it prestige. I mean, he's done a lot of great movies, and you saw that in this film. It was a good movie. It wasn't just, because it's Star Wars, it'll be a movie people like. It was a good movie. Like, it could stand on its own if it wasn't a Star Wars movie. Take out Star Wars. It's just cool, And you only see that a lightsaber one time. And again, that's one of the things from Rogue One. You only saw a lightsaber at the end when Vader came in. This had far less Star Wars, and I think it connected well because just like Han connected with everybody in the originals, it's the real life people of this galaxy that don't have special powers. They don't have, the Force was redundant, special powers. They're just normal people who are getting by and are doing what they need to do to survive in this world. And it's just cool. I mean, I loved it. I would love to see another one. I think you could explore more about Chewie and Han and what they just, things that happen or whatever to make them. Maybe you could, I don't know, talk about the Falcon more, how it gets more of its. I don't know. I just, at this point, I'm like, before this movie, why do we need a Han Solo movie? Now I'm like, dude, I don't even know what it's going to be, but I'll take another one.
But I could definitely go for I could go for a Han Solo, like, straight up heist movie. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like give us the big thing that Jabba had him do. Like, we don't know what that job was.
Yeah. Like, the Marvel movies are basically genre movies, just like with superhero overlays. And I could go for a heist movie that has a Star Wars overlay featuring Solo. That'd be great.
Totally.
But yeah, man, I didn't think I would like it, and I was super happy when you said you did.
Nor did Isaac.
And I have to. Oh yeah,
I didn't think you would like it either.
I don't think any of us really thought you would like it.
And I have to get I'm so impressed, especially with Alden, but Alden and Donald Glover both, how well they did. Like, they did their own thing, and like they made the character their own to an extent, but how well they did like all the mannerisms and like just it was
did it justice.
So it was so good.
It was very well done. How they never they worked together for the better good of themselves, but they weren't ever trusting each other. Donald Glover left him the first second he got. He didn't even take his cut. He was just I'm done and gone. Han tracks him because I was like, man, Lando cheated. Han was supposed to win the Falcon, but he cheated. And then for him to go back in there and see Han coming in, and Han is pissed off. And he does, and they do the reverse of Empire, where Lando gives him
punches him,
and he grabs him. But in the meantime, he grabs
steals his cards.
That was so cool because Lando goes for it again. You see him, and you know Han's over there. I just did the same thing Lando did from the regular movies. Lando in the original trilogy called him Han.
Yeah.
So in this movie,
he's like it's Han, but actually,
it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
So he's always called him Han.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm assuming, just Billy D. Williams' way of saying Han is just how he said it. I don't think they wrote it that way. Oh, Lando's always going to call him the wrong name. I think that's just something that was Billy D. Williams.
Yeah.
So they played it into the lore. Oh, he says his name wrong just because he's pompous. He's not going to.
Yeah. He's not going to give him that honor. He's going to do his own thing.
And I did like how the Lando, Lando didn't have the ship. He says, "Oh, I've got the Millennium Falcon." The Falcon was basically had a boot on it,
impounded.
So they got to break it out. It's like these guys are lying constantly, which to me made the characters just who they were supposed to be. They're constantly trying to one up each other. And so they're friends, but they're not friends. So when he gets there, he's like, "What have you done to my ship? Your ship? I remember." Fair and square.
I want it fair and square.
I didn't cheat like you. I did it fair and square. It means the same thing, but more at the same time. They did a brilliant job with it.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. All right. Well, there we go. We loved Han Solo, a Star Wars story. We recommend it highly that you go see it. If you haven't seen it, you listen to all that. What are you doing? I told you, don't do this. But you did it anyway. Now you definitely need to go see it and see how correct we are. Thanks as always for listening, guys. Another long episode this week. More Star Wars is always going to bring more discussion. We love talking about it because we love it so much. We hope you love listening to us talk about it. We would like to hear your thoughts. We do have some comments on the YouTube page, and we appreciate that. David, you David that is commenting on YouTube, his Star Wars knowledge is huge. And I appreciate your input from this week and from last week on the YouTube page. Thanks, guys, for listening, for watching if you do so on YouTube. The three of you, Josh, Brian, and Dave, thanks for joining. Dave, I'm glad you could get in here towards the maybe important part of the podcast. I don't know.
Yeah.
One could say.
It was going to be tragic if Dave missed the solo
I would have felt real bad about that if you did it. I'm so glad you made it. Brian, special thanks again to you. Us this week, guest hosting once again, done a good job and a great addition. We appreciate it. And Josh, as always, thanks for joining. This is the South Dakota Gamer Podcast, episode 171. We'll see you next week for the E3 prediction show.
E3. Never tell me the odds.
Bye.
About my piece of pizza.
Bye, YouTube. Thanks for coming by. Dave, seriously, I appreciate your comments. He's all over it. I mean, he must be a little behind. He's seen Solo 5 times already.
Oh, wow. I wanted to see it again. I just haven't been able to.
I'm going to jump in the comments. So who is this kid? Do we know him? Or is he just a random YouTuber? Is he a follower?
No,
he's on the he follows the Star Wars
rant also.
Yep. We used to do it.
Oh, is it